Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bonfire Nexus. I'm joined here with my two co-hosts, Alex
Hey,
and Dan.
Hi.
Today, we're gonna get into the topic of video game soundtracks. Pretty cool topic and passionate one. We have some passionate opinions on this one here. But before we get to that, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, pretty much any social media with the handle at the Bonfire Nexus. Same thing with YouTube. And you can email us at thebonfirenexus@gmail.com. Feel free to send us any questions, any ideas, or just anything in relation to the podcast, and we'll read them. So, but before we get to our main topic, Daniel, you want to tell us what you've been playing or doing in the past?
So I haven't been playing a lot of things, just more Warhammer, which I won't get into that. However, there is a cool alternative that I've at least shared with you, Mike. I don't know if Alex, you've heard of it, but there's like a new tabletop. Not new. It's new in regards of like the other tabletops. It's called Trench Crusade. And it's like basically World War One meets Warhammer in a way. In the sense of like, think about like a very, very gritty heaven versus hell aspect of World War One. That's basically what it is. But it's like that aesthetic of like 1930 whatever the fucks. In the humanity in that setting fighting against demons, which I think is, and like Christian like themed demons, which I think is really cool. But the art for that stuff is incredible, so that's kind of what hooked me into it.
What was it
I'm
called again?
looking at it. Trench Crusade.
Trench Crusade. It's very like Zealotous kind of, God is with. I mean, like, okay, so basically, real quick rundown of the story. God is real, so is Satan. People open the gates of hell through Jerusalem, and then all of humanity's like on God's side, trying to basically, fight back the forces that either betrayed God to go to hell, and the demons that are spewing out from the gates of hell. And then you have like the divisions of like the people who are typical Christians, and then you have like the Iron Sultanate, who are kind of like more Muslim themed, and like a lot of their models reflect that. And then you have like the mortal forces of hell, which are like your typical fucked up humans, and then you have like really, really cool and grittily designed demons, like something that you would see in a game like Dante's Inferno. I think that's probably like the best way to try to put this together. It's like Dante's Inferno but World War One. And it's really cool. I think it does like the whole everything is fucked setting a lot better, because like in the scale of Warhammer 40k at least, it's pretty easy to just be like, okay, well, 10,000 people just died, but that's just another Tuesday, whereas like this one, everything looks so run down and hellish, and I really like that. It's not just like hidden in the corners that you have to really get into the lore or into the setting to find. It's more like just in your face all the time, and I like that more, in my opinion.
This does look
pretty
cool.
cool.
So, are these out yet? I'm seeing. I just did a quick search, and like I see some, I don't know, pre-order stuff. This isn't out yet, right?
No, so
Like,
it's
not, like,
it's out.
physically?
Like, you could. The cool thing about it is that the company themselves supports 3D printing, so they'll just like sell you the STLs, you print them, and you're good to go. Which
word.
is,
Okay.
yeah, it's really cool. And they say like, we don't give a fuck if you, as long as they're like somewhat normal proportions. If there's like some third party guy selling 3D models, do it. It's just like, it's more flavor that the community is bringing into the setting, right? So if some guy in fucking, I don't know, Georgia or something makes a model of a yeoman, and it's not like the official Trench Crusade model, they don't give a shit. They're just like, cool, look, new reinforcements. You know what I mean? That's the way they kind of tie it into the lore. It's just like, it's just another division of a warband that's somewhere else. So like, I bought the things, printed them out. The models that I didn't like, I just bought from another third party person in my mini factory. And for this game, you don't need like, I don't know, like 50 something models. You only need like 5 to 10, right? It's more skirmishy.
Okay, it's a lot more like
So-
Kill Team, I guess, if you want to make that comparison.
Yeah, it's just like a little bit bigger than Kill Team. The coolest part about the game is that first of all, it's interchanging turns, so you're never just sitting there for fucking 30 minutes waiting for your opponent to finish their turn. It's like one guy moves, then the next guy moves from the enemy, then you go, then the enemy goes, then you go, right? And what I like a lot is that every model except for a leader basically dies in one hit, right? Like if you get a lucky enough roll, it'll just straight up die. The thing is that they're more resilient to being able to manipulate your dice rolls so they don't just straight out die. But like that is what, like, even your lowest soldier can kill the biggest thing, but you just have to hit it enough times, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it works on a system called like blood markers. Basically, like if you don't, everything dies on a roll of 9 and higher, if I remember correctly. But some things might have like, oh, -2 to that value, so it's always going to be 7. If you roll an 8, it goes down to a 6. You don't kill it, but you injure it, right? And then if they're injured, they're more likely to get downed, and if they're downed, they're more likely to die, right? So it's just like continuously stacking damage on something to the point that you just one shot it. Which I think is like a really cool system. And there's no like, oh well, this guy hits on 4s but then he wounds on 5s, or he hits on 4s, but then you have to consider this, that, and the other rule. It's very much just like, did you hit above a 2? It's a minor wound. Did you hit above a 6? It's a knockdown. Did you hit above a 9? It's dead. Everything in the game follows that rule, except for like obviously if you have an armor and shit like that. It's so much more intuitive, and it there's no like having to remember like, oh, indirect actually doesn't hit on anything better than or worse than a 4, right? You don't have to remember all these little rules. It's almost always the same values, which is really cool. It's super easy to pick up. I picked it up in like 2 days, and I managed to build quote unquote build and paint and print the entire thing in like 2 days. Get my warband ready, and I'm ready to go right now. And I started like a week ago. So way more commitment, or way less commitment than something like Warhammer, where it's like I've been into Warhammer for like 6 years, and I finished my 2,000 point army like maybe a year ago. So yeah, really cool game. But bar the tabletop stuff, I've been getting really nostalgic lately, and I've been playing a lot of like old games, and old in like my childhood terms. So I've picked up Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door again, and I've been having a fucking blast playing that game.
Yeah.
I also started playing like the old Mega Man Zero games and the Mega Man ZX games for the DS. Those things are fucking goated. They're like probably one of the first games I ever played. And then Capcom released a collection, maybe I think in the last 3 years, that includes all 4 of the first and 2 of the second, and it's fucking banging, man. It's like, it just feels nice to be able to play those games again without having to dig out a Game Boy for it. And I think the Zero games are kind of like they're kind of like the Pokemon games in a way. Like I think Mega Man 3 and Mega Man 4 are like actually pretty expensive. I'm pretty sure they're like $150 when I checked a couple years ago. So they definitely have a reputation for being really hard platformers and very unforgiving. It's one of those games where like if you touch a spike, you instantly die. So yeah, no, a lot of fun doing
That's
that.
cool. That's
kind of what I've been up to.
Dope.
So this looks like back to Trench Crusade, at least looking at the stuff. I'm looking at this dude called the Knights of Avarice. That guy looks kind of badass.
Yeah, is he? Wait, hold on. I have to look him up because I think I know who you're talking about.
He's like the dude with the like skeleton helmet, and he's in gold and purple with like this giant.
Oh yeah,
thing.
so that's like a subdivision. So it's kind of a lot like Warhammer. It's like you have Space Marines, then you have all the chapters. He's a Heretic Legion subfaction that's like supposed to be the ones that embody the sin of greed, basically. Yeah, it's super cool. Like, and that's not that guy that you see. He's not an official model. Like the company didn't make him as a model, but the fans did, and the company's totally fine with you running him. Just yeah, sure, go ahead. You know what I mean? Which is really cool, I think, from a design perspective.
Okay.
A lot of the
I like
the art
World War
really
One
cool.
aspect to it too.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of like World War One aesthetic either, but they like really nailed it. Like for me, I like the Knights of New Antioch, or the Principality of New Antioch, and they had this like giant green mech suit looking dude next to like man, the setting. I mean, I've already said in this podcast, I'm a huge fan of like Forever Winter, and it's kind of like Forever Winter but back in World War One. It's basically what the aesthetic of this thing looks like. It's so fucking cool, man. And even like the demons of like, if you look up the Seven-Headed Court, Trench Crusade, look at the art of that faction. It is the coolest shit I've ever seen in a fucking interpretations of demons, because I feel like a lot of games and stuff, when they make demons, they kind of make them generic and boring. I mean, even Warhammer's kind of guilty of that with like Bloodthirsters and stuff, but then you have like the cooler things. But Trench Crusade takes it to the whole another level. They take it to like the biblically accurate, quote unquote, demons, where it's the ones that are like really unnerving and unsettling, which is what the ones that I like personally. So yeah, they're called the Seven-Headed Court, I believe, or Court of the Seven-Headed Serpent. That's what it is.
Yeah, I see it. Looks really cool. I like the dude with like the 2 goat heads there. It's like
It's
goat
so
head and like split in 2. Yeah, it's good. Cool.
yeah, that's the I'm still trying to remember Gore something, I think is what they're called. I don't know, but either way, it has that like really
Have
gritty
you
art.
played it yet, or have you seen?
I
gameplay of it?
haven't. I've seen a lot of gameplay of it, enough to where I feel comfortable going to like a local game store and playing it. But I haven't like played a game myself yet. You know, I have everything ready to go out and do it. I just haven't found the time to go out and do it. But I've seen how the game plays and everything. It's really cool.
Okay, it's cool.
Pretty sweet.
Free rules,
Yeah.
by the way.
I love
They
it.
don't charge you $60. Yeah, they don't charge you $60 for your fucking rules for your faction either. So
Nice. I do
Yet.
want to ask like what you see about pricing, because I do see some basic stuff on eBay and it's running like 60 to 70, and I feel like that can't be representative of the actual prices, right?
So I think like I bought like a warband because they sell like the individual models and they sell for like 10 to 20. And you get like I want to say with my yeomans I got like 6 different poses and it was like $20, which is a little pricey, but then I always look at Warhammer as my, you know, my opposite, and my Skitarii for my Admech armies go for fucking what, $52 for 10. I buy this file for $20 and I can print as many yeomen as I want. So for me, I think it's really worth, especially because I don't have to print like 60 Skitarii to make my list good. You know what I mean? It's just like I print like 4 yeomen, I print a mechanized infantry, maybe runs me like $80, and then I have the files forever. I can print as many as I want. If I fuck up, I don't have to worry about going out and buying another box. You know what I mean? Like the fact that it's a one-shot deal, like you just buy it and then you print it as many as you want, is like the thing that makes 3D printing so cheap. So I don't mind the expensive overhead, quote unquote. Because it's like, yeah, it's expensive. You need to have a printer, yada yada yada. But if you're like a war gamer, you would want a printer anyway. I feel like we've reached that point. So
yeah, I do
really have any
see
qualms.
like a retailer looks like that seems to give it for. Looks like the smaller boxes are the units that are like more basic infantry around 50,
Mhm.
and then some of the more like heavy hitters or unique looking models, I'll say, you know, like the big demons or big knights or mech suits, right? They're around 85 to 100.
I mean,
so.
honestly, just go to a local game store, make a friend that has a 3D printer, and then ask him to print it for you and throw him a 50. You know what I mean? Just give him the files, throw him a 50, and be like, "Hey, man, print these out for me," and they'll be like, "Yeah, sure." And then, yeah, you'll spend $100, but you'll have a full warband. That is way better than the $2,000 price tag that most Warhammer armies have, right?
That's
So...
true. Mike, do you have a 3D printer? Or?
I have a kind of messed up one, so if you want to
Okay.
mess around with it, try to
Word.
fix it, like
Yeah.
you can have it, honestly.
Yeah, I have a Saturn 4, but I broke the fucking the LCD plate, so I got a new one because it's within warranty.
I did find my new favorite looking unit here, the Sorcerer under the Court of the Seven-Headed Serpent.
Yeah, I know
He
exactly
looks
what you're talking
pretty
about.
fucking cool.
Yeah.
pretty
They just
badass.
have such cool aesthetics, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, Mega Man. What about Mega Man do you like over other like platformers, I guess?
like Mega Man Zero?
Yeah. I mean, you're going back
Um,
to it. Is it just a nostalgia thing, or, you know?
No,
Does it hold
it's
up good?
a lot like whatchamacallit, the old Mega Man games. They have like the whole Soul Fusion thing where you can like switch to Ice Mega Man, and then that adds another element to the platforming. A lot of platformers, like say Metroid and Castlevania, they're about giving you abilities to be able to traverse places that you wouldn't be otherwise, and that's still true with Mega Man Zero. But say something like Metroid, it's always like the wave beam that can open certain doors, being able to wall jump so that you can get to another part. The Zero games are just like tough. Like the boss fights are actually pretty hard, and that's something kind of that isn't as existent in platformers. Because like the only other one that I can think of is like Hollow Knight has some pretty hard bosses, right? But for the most part, those games are like brutal in difficulty. Because if you die, you start all over again from the mission that you took. You don't start at like a save point. And then every Mega Man, especially the normal Zero games, they've added like more combat tricks. So Mega Man 04 was really cool because you had this like weapon called the grapple, which is just your arm, but you could like rip parts off of the enemies and use them as weapons. So if an enemy like shot a mortar bomb or something, you could rip that thing off of it, and then now you have a couple of uses of the enemy's weapon, right? And that was for every enemy in the game basically. So you could like basically tackle things differently. In the Mega Man ZX games, a lot of the powers that the different souls gave you like had to do with the bottom screen because it was made for the DS. So like the ninja soul was able to let you see in rooms that are completely dark. It wouldn't let you see, quote unquote, but your bottom screen would have a little radar that tells you where you're going. Or like the magma soul, I think it was the flame buster, you could draw in the bottom screen to show how it shoots. So you could make it like an L, so it goes up and then left or right, or you can make it do like a little under and up thing to make like a little firewall. The souls had unique weapons that made them really intuitive and fun to play. And every boss gave you one, right? It's because like you kill the boss, you get the power, so to speak. So between the difficulty and like the creativity of the weapons and the souls that you were able to get, it's just a fun ass game, and it's really tough too, in my opinion. Like a lot of the platforming is really, really precise. The only other game I can think of that does something like that is Hollow Knight, when like situations where you have to slash an enemy with the down slash. It's okay, perfect example. It's like Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight is like really, really spot on precision, and it gets really, really hard near the end. That's kind of how the Mega Man Zero games are for me. And I think Shovel Knight's like one of the best platformers printed in the last decade. If it came out a decade ago, I think. So
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Shovel Knight is fucking legendary, man. That game is incredible. Where Shovel Knight is more like built on very honed in precision platforming. Mega Man Zero is more like liberal in its platforming, but way more unforgiving in its combat, because things take like fucking a quarter of your health when you get hit. So yeah, I half nostalgia, half not nostalgia, I guess is the answer to that.
Gotcha. All right,
Mhm.
cool. Sounds awesome. Alex, what have you been playing?
I have been playing Stardew Valley.
Whack. No, actually, it sounds awesome.
Just just to give a little context behind like what Stardew Valley is. It is a farming game. I don't want to say simulator because I don't think that's true to what it is. Where the premise is you are someone who's working like a lame 9-to-5 office job. Your grandfather passes away, but leaves you the farm in his will. And looking for a more fulfilling life, you take up the mantle of farmer in a small little like. I'm gonna say it's like North American, Stardew Valley. It's not even a valley really. It's a weird mountain seaside town.
Okay.
So. Called Stardew Valley. If you have heard of Harvest Moon, it takes a lot of inspiration from that.
Mhm.
And I mean, the art style is, like I think pixel art is probably the best way to describe it. I wouldn't say retro because I don't think that's true to what it is either. But simple pixel art style, and it was made by one guy who has supported the game over the course of I think 6 or 7 years now, probably even longer. His name is Concerned Ape, and like this guy was so dedicated to it, and I want to talk about him for a bit because he's like an amazing developer. That when people reported that their save files broke after like patches and things, he would have them send their save file to him, and he would go in and personally fix it for them.
That's cool.
So, not to mention just the level of content and dedication there is in this game. Naturally, as it is that kind of lifestyle farming game. It's going to be one where like you make relationships with the townspeople, you can get married and start a family, right? And in doing so, you also like make friendships with the other villagers and help them, I guess, in their struggles with life. So it's just something that's feel good because you feel like you're having an impact on these people, even if it is kind of base level. All you really need to do is give people gifts and like talk to them every day to build relationships, and they'll pretty much figure out the rest themselves. But it does do enough to engage you with them and like endear you to them. And I just want, again, the amount of content in this game, and I think it's like maybe $15 to $30 on Steam. I need to look.
It's like 20,
usually on sale. Yeah. It's insane. I mean, the first year I have played maybe around 20 hours this last week, and I'm not even done with the first year. And like this is something where in order to 100% it, you usually need to play like 10 years worth of content, depending on how familiar you are with the game and how much time you like, how you do the time management. It's just a really great farming game. The farming is super fulfilling for me. And I started playing, Mike, because after you recommended Schedule 1, I bought it, played it for like 3 days. I'm like, this is great. It's a little bare bones right now. And I really want to play Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
Because that was the complete package. And it's that same thing where you start from the bottom and like build up this enterprise using money that you earned and like resources that you went out and got. And then ultimately, it feels like you earned what you have like gained in this game, and I think that's amazing.
You reap what you sowed in the farm.
Exactly. Hey, there you go. It's a metaphor. So yeah, Stardew Valley, really recommend it. It's a very soft, like relaxing game. Nothing about it is too difficult. There's very basic combat in like a mine section, which you go to, look for like precious stones and everything. It is a game where you need to engage with every discipline that it presents you. So the farming, the fishing, the mining, the social aspect for you to get everything out of it. So it does so encouraging you to do that, not exactly forcing you, right? Which I think is great. And I don't know, it's a game that rewards you for playing it, and I really, really love that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this game, so I'm just kidding. But yeah, I tried playing it once. I got to give it another shot because I don't know. I was just kind of looking at my library of Steam games. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. We'll run Stardew Valley, and I guess I just wasn't in the right headspace for it. Wasn't exactly what I was looking for at that time, but I've heard nothing but great things about it. So
yeah, I bought it with the intention of playing it. I just haven't played it yet because I remember buying Animal Crossing New Leaf when it first came out and like not really enjoying it. All I did was fish, and then I was just like, okay, I'm basically done with this game. And I played a pretty good amount of Animal Crossing, but it wasn't itching the chill simulator that I wanted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I bought Stardew Valley with the intention of maybe trying to fix that and find a game like that. But I haven't given it a run yet because I got distracted playing Pikmin 4. I fucking love Pikmin, so
Word.
yeah.
Either of you guys played Harvest Moon?
I've heard of
Or
it.
Story of Seasons, as it was called now. So I played that game when I was pretty young. I want to say like I was younger than 10 years old when I first played one of the Harvest Moon games on the GameCube. I think it's the one it was called It's a Wonderful Life. Or It's a Beautiful Life, something like that. And so then I learned about Stardew Valley. I'm like, holy shit, I can reconnect with my childhood and play this game. So it is co-op. That's how I first got into it, was playing it with groups of friends. I think I'm enjoying the single player about as much, if not a little more. But the co-op is still a lot of fun because you can kind of divide up the labor. So you have one person who does all the fishing stuff and one person who does all the farming and then one person who does the mining stuff. And then if you want, you can all go together as a group. And one of the really cool things I like is that there is a choice to either make money as like a pool. So if someone makes money, everyone makes that money. Or you can go it individually and kind of have a sort of competing farm thing going on. But it's still the same world you interact with and everything's dynamic. It is a great game to play with friends, or couples can play it.
Yeah, usually I see couples play it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good game for it, right? It's perfect. It is something that requires a lot of time and focus, but also not too much energy.
Yeah,
so I think it's really good for couples.
I've always wanted to try a game like that. The closest that I can think of, which is probably also the farthest, is when our Discord was all playing The Forest together, and we got a campaign where we were getting pretty fucking far in there. And it was like, I think it was me, Mike, and somebody else. We were like the cave explorers. And then one friend stayed back and just made blueberries for us. Okay. One friend stayed back. Another friend, Alex, stayed back and just made blueberries for us. And then another person was making like weapons and ammunition for us while also tending the farm. And the other person was in charge of like building the infrastructure and shit. So like, I thought that was cool. I had a lot of fun, and they weren't like out of the action altogether, because while we were out there exploring caves and shit, they were also being attacked by just like random mutants that were rushing the camp and stuff. So That game was fun. The only thing that I don't like about playing co-op games like that is that somebody inevitably bitches and then everything just kind of falls apart. You know what I mean? When it comes to
Yeah.
like split of labor.
I mean, we
so.
pretty much got to the end of that
Yeah.
game.
The forest.
Yeah, it's not
I
super
thought
long
we-
in terms of the story, quote unquote.
I remember we just got overran by those like 7-legged things eventually, and then we just kind of gave up.
Yeah,
I will
Because our
say, in
camp got
terms of
rushed.
survival games, that does always happen. Where for me, it's so much that it just falls off. I don't really go into like I haven't encountered a situation where someone's like, I was so upset by what happened in this game that I'm going to stop playing it. It's just the gaming cycle switches out, something new comes out, or you learn about something new. But it is my hope and dream to one day do a like full cooperative Minecraft server and get beginning to end. Like regular survival, because I don't like mods that much, at least in a multiplayer setting. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
I wish I could get into Minecraft, but I've tried for fucking years at this point. I just can't do it.
yeah, I can't do
Are
it
we
alone.
gonna say the
I-
thing? Chicken jockey.
Oh, saw the movie, by the way. I'll give my notes. Here, I'll say this. If someone is calling the Minecraft movie peak cinema, you probably shouldn't take them too seriously. If someone is
Probably.
saying that Minecraft is the death of cinema, you probably shouldn't take them too seriously.
Yeah, it's a lot like the
Yeah.
Sonic movies, basically.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, the casting is definitely weird, but I didn't think it was gonna be like the end of the world. You know what I mean? It was just like it's
Yeah.
not like it's
It
kind of like the
wasn't.
Mario movie. Like the Mario movie wasn't for me. I didn't really enjoy it, and then it's just like okay, well, other people did. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. People were
Now-
having fun. They were like they were cheering at the lines that were said in the trailer. Obviously, ironically, right? These were
Mhm.
older high school kids and then like middle school kids who were in that
Yeah.
theater with us when we were
It's-
watching the movie. So
It's the whole like two tickets for the Barbie movie, please, with the Ryan Gosling meme and people wearing suits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but
hey, I did Barbenheimer and I had a great time. Barbie movie was way better than Oppenheimer. I'm gonna say that. Like, and ironically, had more fun in Barbie.
I did
than
like the Barbie
Oppenheimer.
movie. I remember
Yeah.
because I remember I watched the Barbie movie and the Mario movie back to back because I was at work. We had like a flash drive with the movies, and I remember watching. Like I said, I sat through the entire Barbie movie and pretty much enjoyed it. And then I got halfway through the Mario movie and turned it off, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like, what is wrong with me? But I will say, right now it's the 14th of April, right? In 3
Yeah.
days, the Miku movie comes out, and if any of these fucks go and say that the Miku
guy.
movie is bad, I will personally hunt you down.
But what
I
it
am
is,
looking forward to doing it. It probably
Yeah.
will be. It's an anime movie about fucking Miku. So, but it is playing near me, so I am gonna go watch it.
Word. Well,
hope
you
it's
let us
good.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, and that I think I'll segue on here. Michael, what have you been playing?
So at first
What
I
you
was
been up to?
thinking,
Yeah.
oh man, I've only really been playing Magic, besides going to LA. But there is a game I want to talk about that I did play recently. I saw my friend play it. He streamed it on Discord, and then I did my own playthrough. Enna Dream Barbecue. I don't know if you guys ever
Excuse
heard
me?
of that.
Anna Dream Barbecue.
Yes.
Sorry.
So it's a multi-chapter game. Chapter 1 just released, and the first chapter is free, right?
Oh, like Anna and oh my god.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
And
Enna?
Enna,
Yeah.
E-N-A. Yeah.
ENA. It's like a web animation character. It got really
Mhm.
popular. I want to say a few years ago.
So I
Yeah.
didn't know about the web
Oh!
animation, and then I after I played the game, I saw the web animation. But I had never heard of it before.
Yeah,
But
I've seen a
our
lot of
friend-
her art.
Yeah, our friend Trey, he was just going through free to play games, and that was at the top of the list, because it had like crazy reviews. Right
Oh my
now, I
God,
think
yeah,
sitting at, like,
overwhelmingly positive.
positive. And man, it is such a fucking crazy awesome game. I'm not gonna lie. I had, like I said, I never watched the animation before. Neither did my friend Trey. So this was like completely blind going into this. And the whole time we were like, what the fuck is going on? Like every single second, there's just something else. Like the art style. I guess that's the first thing I want to bring up about the game is the art style. Man, it's so unique in how they bring in a lot of really weird stuff. So there's like stuff that's like referencing things. Like there's a wizard in that game that looks like a 90s computer character and
I
everything.
see him, yeah.
And it's just like super awesome, mixed with like the weird avant-garde style art and everything, and like the cool mixture and blending of 2D and 3D art in that game is also fantastic. So the
Yeah.
art style, I think, is probably the main driving factor. Second driving factor, I would say, is just the weirdness of the characters. The whole time you're like, what are these guys saying? And it takes you a moment to like kind of, get the gist of what they're saying sometimes. Like, for example, Enna, they have two halves to them. One that's like more of like a shouty, angry style, and the other half, which is the normal one, is more of like basically speaks to everybody as if she's like a salesperson or business person. And they just talk about like, whenever they're given a quest or, a mission. In this game it's jobs. She'll always say, thank you for your business and everything when she completes it and all that stuff. So it's very out there. And I just love a game that really like just throws these curveballs at you. In this case, it's like way out of left field, and it's constantly, you don't know what the hell is going on. And the whole time I'm like, there has to be some type of allegory and metaphor for this, which I think it's like a metaphor for either like purgatory or some like afterlife. But it's just like genuinely, it's just so weird. I don't know how else to say it. Like how to say it without somebody.
Right?
Yeah, it's surrealist, and like it's something you definitely need to experience, right? And like I said, not have ever never had watched the animations before, and just going into this blinded, it really like took me for surprise, and I fell in love with it. I really, really like all the aspects, the characters in that game too. Just the wide variety of them, and the voice acting is fantastic in there. The music's great. The gameplay is solid. It's nothing like too crazy, but it's one of those games that has like a bunch of different secrets and different things to like do, where like the first time you play it, you don't really see everything. And maybe there's some jobs you didn't complete, but you completed chapter 1, right? So my friend Trey did a second run, and he saw so many things that we didn't see on the first run. And then when I did my run, we saw a couple things that we hadn't seen there. They really love the whole fake wall thing, which I love personally whenever there's fake walls in games. So there's a lot of really cool like secrets and just like things that add to like the atmosphere and to like this weird world that they've constructed, which I think is really cool. I saw it was made by like a Peruvian guy named Joel G. And he, had a lot of inspiration from like Japanese culture and like, anime games, stuff like that. So I really liked how it's just like it's just
so this is
own
licensed Enna,
thing. Yeah, its own
which is
thing.
cool.
So
Yeah, I saw that character a lot. I thought it was somebody's just like Twitter OC.
Dude, and Enna, I haven't watched the web animations yet, but in the game, Enna, I love Enna so much. She's so cool. She's really funny. The whole game is really funny, at least to me, just how wacky and weird it is. But yeah, as a protagonist, I really love her, and I love both sides, and how like her like more bossy, like pissed off side just will cut off like the nice part off, and it's like really awesome.
There's been a lot of like single off or smaller teams that have been kind of breaking the mainstream lately. Like they always do every once in a while, but looking at that game, it kind of reminded me of how that one game Me Side kind of just blew out of nowhere, and everyone is talking about that one. Kind of the same thing. Two Russian dudes made some like horror love-based simulator thing, and everyone loves like one of the main characters of that. So I've just seen it a lot.
That's really cool. On the note of that like smaller team, and this is kind of related to like internet exclusive phenomena, there's a game called SCP Secret Lab that I think we should play with the boys. It's free.
They did, haven't they? I'm pretty sure they already have.
Oh fuck, really?
That was one of the metas, wasn't it? Where everyone was obsessed with playing it.
Didn't we play with you?
I
might have,
played
but
a CSP game, so Yeah, it's
feel
the
like
one
we-
where you like have a bunch of key cards and you're playing as like dudes trying to get through doors and shit, but you start on the
Yeah.
outside. Yeah. They've
Well, yeah, it's
there
like
was a meta for
team based.
it.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, so it's been forever and a half since I played this game, but I really want to pick it up again. And like, you can make private servers, and I don't know. I feel like our little group of friends would have a good time with it because we have enough people to make it work. So
Yeah, I remember they
Okay.
definitely were dick riding that game for a while there.
Yeah, it was cool. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
I'm sure.
I enjoyed the interactions with the randos in that game.
Oh,
People were
yeah,
just
that game.
fucking, yeah, for
Fucking
good or for
great.
worse, you know. Like
it's funny because it's like it's an asset smash in Unity, but
yeah,
a lot of them are original assets now, which I
Mhm.
respect.
It's just like that thing of like it kind of reminds me of that donkey video with Halo.
Yeah.
It's time for big team battle.
It's
Like,
not
you
a
just
big
come across-
battle.
Yeah, you
it's
just come
some
across
fucking
people
weirdo.
like that in that game.
Yeah.
It's
We go on
just so
Ocean.
fucking funny. Yeah, we go on Ocean.
We're going Ocean, right?
It's
Yeah.
so dumb.
All right, Dan, you want to tell us about today's topic? 'Cause
Yeah,
I
so-
know you're excited.
I am. And I kind of want to preface this with another thing that I've been playing is, again, Monster Hunter just got its patch and got its latest monster, was Mizutsune. Literally translates to water fox. So Mizu was one of my favorite monsters back in Generations Ultimate. I don't know if we touched about it in the episode or not, but I said that there was one part when you're fighting Mizutsune in Generations Ultimate. I don't remember the name of the map, but it was a forest map, and it runs into a little like waterfall area that is covered in these like red rosy lily spider lily sort of looking plant, and as you're fighting it and the song is beating off, that's wrong word. As the song is as the song as the song is like just going right,
Yeah.
it really
Yeah,
set the
just going
ambiance
at it.
because yeah, it's just fucking jorking.
Sorry, guys, I gotta beat off this monster real quick.
So Mizu in that area, I remember like it ran to that area, the song was kicking off. Mizu's like doing all the little like twists and flips that it does, and the song is so the one in Wilds I didn't like that much compared to the original, but the song has always been iconic for me, right? And fighting this monster with all these like flower petals, kind of like cherry blossoms in a way, are falling, and like this thing is, you know, swarming around and stuff, and you're like trying to fight for your life, but you're hearing this track kick off, right? It was like one of the best moments I've had in Monster Hunter when I was a kid. And when Mizu made it to Wilds and I was fighting it, even though I have some qualms with the song, and the setting wasn't like as vibrant as I remember, like fighting Mizu again in Wilds and seeing like how far it's come from Generations to Wilds, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of got choked up a little bit. I was like, holy fuck, dude, Monster Hunter has come such a far way, right? From when like your movement was all janky and your character was animation locked when drinking potions to fucking you just doing the shit that you can do in the new Monster Hunter Wilds games. But hearing that song kick off when the guitar, the Japanese kind of strings are playing, and I don't know. I like I said, I got choked up. I got a little emotional. I was like, God, this is fucking incredible,
It's
man.
just a
Like,
wave of nostalgia, and then seeing where it's at now. Just
yeah, and I mean, Monster Hunter music has always been a thing for me. Like, I've always loved Monster Hunter music. But seeing one of my favorite monsters, because Gore Magala was also one of my favorites, but he didn't have an iconic theme in my opinion. Mizu definitely did. And when they first dropped like that Wilds was coming out, and then they showed Mizutsune, I was like, dude, there's no fucking way they're adding the Mizutsune. This is great. Because I knew that I would be able to listen to the song again. And Mizu was in Rise, and then they weren't in Worlds, but they were in a game recently enough to where the hype wasn't like super real. But it is a fan favorite, and the theme is also a fan favorite. It's very like Japanese, you know, string coded, because it's like a, you know, it's like a fox demon monster thing. In the game, in Wilds, they didn't really do that good a job with capturing that. It was more just kind of like orchestra, as opposed to like Japanese strings and like a lady like kind of doing vocals in the background. So kind of an L there. But overall, adding Mizu is incredible. Also, it's like one tapping people right now, which is great, because there's a lot of people that were complaining that the game was too easy, and now Mizutsune is like one-shotting everyone.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, when I first fought Mizu, I killed it without dying, and I killed it pretty quick, and I was like, I kind of took the hype away. but there were parts where like it was genuinely kicking my ass. So yeah, and all of which to say, one of the reasons I was looking forward to Mizutsune was its battle theme, right? Because Monster Hunter has really good themes, and it, while I didn't like the iteration, it made me start thinking of other games and their soundtracks, because me personally, I follow soundtracks for games like all the way. So I have like a wall of vinyls in my apartment, and half of them are video game soundtracks or some sort of soundtrack from like animes or movies or something.
Mhm.
If there's one thing I know really well about games, it's soundtracks.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be today's topic, is things that soundtracks that you like, right? And I want to preface this by saying, as much as I understand that there are soundtracks out there that like are iconic and stuff, like, listen, we all know that the Minecraft overworld theme is good, right? We all know that Dovahkiin and Skyrim theme is really good, right?
Whoa.
What I'm getting at is, as much as those are worth mentioning, I'm not trying to say they're bad. I would like to talk about OSTs that you personally like, right? Not ones that are just like, hey, because, you know, we all know the Mario theme is good. We all know that the Halo opening is fucking incredible, right? But like,
Mhm.
I feel like there isn't much to say, you know what I mean? As opposed to like a song that like, you know, like the way that I kind of categorize this is because like kind of we were talking earlier, I like OST so much that if there is an OST for a game, I know the songs by name. I don't know them as like the song plays in this part of the game, right?
Yeah.
I know when they play. Like, one of the songs that I'll bring up is from Assassin's Creed, and it's called The Brotherhood Escapes. I know the artist who made it, and I know exactly from where it plays, and it's something that I have in like a Spotify playlist somewhere. Like, I'm not talking about, you know, Super Mario Bros. 3 theme is really good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not listening to
Yeah.
that every day of the week. Is kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I'm talking about OSTs that are just good. You know what I mean? Like, and they're good to you. Like Mizutsune's, because like Mizutsune's theme would be kind of like, for anyone else, it's just the Water Fox theme from Monster Hunter. For me, it's one of the best themes in the game. You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah.
kind of what I wanted to talk about.
More personalized and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So, two things. First, we were talking about this before the podcast, but licensed music, stuff like, say,
Yeah.
NBA 2K or like Rocket League, does that?
So
That's something
I
you
don't
wanna
think
discuss?
I think it's definitely worth mentioning. The way that I kind of want to tackle this is, let's just have an open conversation about songs we like and why we like them, and then while we start getting to the end, we'll bring out the ones that like are personally our favorites. You know what I mean? So like,
Okay.
for an example for me, another Monster Hunter song, Safi Jiva's theme from Monster Hunter Wilds, right? Or World, sorry. That song, I could talk about it for fucking ever, right?
Yeah.
But it's not one that I'll be like, oh yeah, Safi Jiva's theme is good, I really liked it, and then move on. You know what I mean? It's not one of those songs. That song I will dig into. And I think licensed music is fine, especially because there are some games, like one game I'm going to bring up is called Redout, and in Redout 2, they licensed music from an artist that I listen to offside of games called Xanovich, right? And it plays really well because it's a very fast-paced racing game, and a guy who makes drum and bass that's mixed with rock is really good for that, right? So I don't think that's discounting. It's discounted to like mention licensed music, especially like Rocket League, because a lot of that comes from Monster Cat, the music label that I used to listen to back in its inception. But I also don't think like it's personal, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, a boss's theme is made for that boss. It's made for that game. Whereas like, I don't know, slap Gangster's Paradise over the Sonic trailer, it's not really anything. You know what I mean? So I think it's
I
fine to
get that,
mention
but I
licensed
feel like-
music, but
Okay, gotcha. Second thing, is more ambient stuff. Because I was thinking about it,
100%.
and even though I don't listen to the music on my own time, I will say the ambiance and not just like songs, because there is, I guess, I don't know. Yeah, it would classify under ambiance more, of like Silent Hill 2. Really?
Yeah, no,
stuck
that's
out
fine.
to
No,
me
I
in
mean,
that game, you know?
Silent Hills 2 soundtrack is considered one of the most legendary horror game soundtracks today, like to this day. Like, it is. Yeah, no, 100%. Overworld ambiance, 100% works. I would not discount that from video game music. It's part of the soundtrack. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah, and just for like a gauge of reference, because like the last couple episodes, I did have like opinions, but like this one's definitely mine. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if to draw some comparisons, when I was going to college, I was going in to study music production for video games specifically. I didn't end up doing that because college crushes your dreams, but it is to say that I've been passionate about video game soundtracks. I've been collecting them since fucking God, I want to say like high school. I think it started when I pre-ordered the Dark Souls 2 collector's edition just to get the soundtrack. And then I got like another weird Atlas game called Witch in the 100th Night or something, and I got that soundtrack. I have a lot of soundtracks.
Yeah.
All of which to say that like this is a subject that is like I'm really really passionate about. So I hope you understand the excitement and hear me yap for probably like a fucking hour.
So I'll kick us off with one that I'm pretty passionate about and left a very strong impression on me as a kid and still to this day. It's the Rayquaza battle theme. So Rayquaza is one of my favorite Pokemon, right? But
yeah,
when you climb this giant tower and you do all these things to like, you know, get to Rayquaza, and you just hear this theme of like, and as I don't know, you start hearing the theme, and as a kid, I was literally shaking in my fucking boots. He just like, you know, there's a previous cutscene of him literally descending from the skies and just yelling and dispersing a battle between Kyogre and Groudon, the other two legendaries in the game, that have like, you know, lore wise, you know, they've like decimated the earth before with water and, you know, ground. They basically shaped the earth, right? Those two Pokemon. And the fact that there's this other legendary that just comes in and just bosses them around, right? And you finally go up there to that tower and you just hear that theme. And I'm just like, oh God, this is the face of God I'm about to fight, right? Like, it's just like a really cool, like, I guess, setting to it. And he quickly became, like, he is behind Mudkip, my favorite Pokemon. Funnily enough, both of them, you know, from the same game. But I have so much time in Pokemon Emerald. Like, I've maxed out the internal clock on the video game that I had when I was a kid.
Jesus
Christ.
Yeah. so I spent so much time in that, but
for you and me, Mike.
Yeah.
I too. I gotta say, I have to pick another song from that soundtrack though. It's got to be the rival battle theme. The fucking trumpets, my boy.
Yes. That I mean, the trumpets / horns in the whole soundtrack really.
Yeah.
It's like what makes it different from all the other Pokemon soundtracks, you know, and just adds to like the epicness of it. That like either adds like a lot of like awe to it, you know, or like in the case of like Rayquaza or something, just really makes it like this whole like, you know, giant world earth-shattering event that you're taking a part of, you know?
Yeah. So
that is definitely the first thing when you were talking about how it personally, like something like with the Monster Hunter monster that it affected you personally and stuff.
Mizutsune, learn its name.
Mizutsune, right?
Michael, yeah. I want to ask you something. Was Emerald or Ruby and Sapphire your first Pokemon game?
No, it was actually Red, the original Red, then Fire Red, and then Emerald.
And then Emerald, interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
So it was my third game, and I played the crap. Like I played a shit ton of Fire Red and Red too.
Yeah. Because Emerald was my first like actual Pokemon game. So Rayquaza was my first legendary Pokemon that I ever caught. So
funny short story. And you know, since we're talking about how much we love Emerald, Alex, you can feel my pain on this. Yeah. In my first run through of Pokemon Emerald, I actually came across a shiny Rayquaza and caught it.
No fucking way.
Not even joking. And OG, no cheats, nothing, right? And as a kid, I didn't know that. I was just like, why is he black? I thought he was green, right? And I had looked it up, and I was like, oh shit. You know? And I let my younger brother Rainy play, and this is like months after, you know, maybe years after I had like played through the game. And I let him play, and I put him in like the Pokemon like Safari Zone. So you can just go and catch Pokemon, right? And I was just like, all right, I taught him the basics and stuff. I come back later, like an hour or two later, and I'm like looking through like, you know, my box and stuff.
No.
And I see this motherfucker released by Rayquaza, bro, and like some other
No.
Pokemon, bro. He fucking released by Rayquaza, and like the game was like saved and everything, and I was like, no fucking
No.
way, bro.
That's brutal.
And I was just
Have you
like, he was like, like 3 or 4, so it's like it's
Yeah,
hard to blame
the
him, but
older
at the
kids.
same time, I was just like, I want to choke you out, you little motherfucker. Like,
I'm sorry,
oh my
Mike. That's
God.
terrible. Oh,
Yeah, I don't
no.
let him live it down. This is
So-
Raimi, by the way. Yeah,
I'm gonna
I don't
put-
let him live it down to this day.
I'm gonna put this up in the stream so you guys can see it. But for the audience, there's this one meme about Berserk the anime where it's Guts being held down when Griffith gets revenge on him, but it's just him going through his DS and releasing all his Pokemons. So yeah, it's just Guts being held down and Griffith has his DS and he's just releasing his entire collection. It's just look up Guts Pokemon meme. It is the funniest shit in the world.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's what I can imagine your pain was equal to.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking bad, man. I was just like, dude, so many tears were shed that day. I feel bad for Raimi because he started crying once he saw me crying about what he did. And
Oh, man.
but
Holy fuck, that's crazy.
yeah, that was a core memory I'm never gonna forget until I die. If I'm on my deathbed and I'm telling everybody I love him, I'm gonna look at Raimi and I'm gonna be like, Black Rayquaza, Shiny Rayquaza, and just die right there, flatline right there.
That's enough stress to push you over the edge. Just reliving
So you can
it.
feel the same pain I felt when he did it. Nah. But yeah, so that theme in particular, there's another one. I forgot exactly what route it is. I think it's like 270. Oh my god, I think it's like 273 or 284, something like that. That you're like in a path. And I forgot it's been a while since I played Emerald. But you're in a path going to a city in the northern area, and you're going through this area that has like ash falling down.
Yeah.
And there's like a really like kind of serene song that has like this weird, like I think it's a piano, either that or some weird like maybe xylophone type thing that just plays. And it was like that stuck out to me as a kid too, where I was like, damn, this fucking rocks.
Yeah.
And it was just
Twilight
like this
Town was
really
really
chill
cool.
thing, with the ash falling down and everything. So
Yeah. Or not Twilight Town. Lavender Town is always one that I really liked. I mean, it has a lot of history behind it, but I like the Lavender Town theme a lot. It's the only thing about Pokemon that I really know. So I've played some Pokemons, but I never got attached. And I played Pokemon, I guess, sooner than both of you. You guys said that you started in Game Boy, right? Like the
Yeah.
Game Boy Advance. Yeah, my first Pokemon was
mine
Yellow.
was SP, I think.
Yeah,
Was the version I played.
Game Boy Advance. They both play the same thing.
it's
but-
okay. We're gonna have our episode of Why Does Dan Hate Pokemon soon. So
Mega Man Battle Network's a better game, dude. I'm just saying. All right,
we'll
Alex.
see.
All right. Okay, so thinking about it, and this is a game that I have a lot of connection with. Anyone who's like been listening so far, can tell, like,
Witcher.
Mass Effect, right?
Damn it.
Witcher's great. I think it's got a great soundtrack, and I think we should talk about that because just the style of music is great. But there is one soundtrack that just kind of takes me home, and that is the
Okay.
Mass Effect Galaxy Map theme.
Okay.
It is very like calming, but mysterious, which I guess fits the theme of Mass Effect. Mass Effect's got a lot of great soundtracks,
Mhm.
but when you first hear it, it is the indication that this entire universe that you've just immersed yourself in is now open to you. In all three
Yeah.
games, it's the same theme, and it's kind of like this welcoming feature. So
Yeah.
I play Mass Effect like maybe every other year, right? And every time I hit the galaxy map for the first time in these games, again, I feel like I'm coming home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just really nice, like serene tones that indicate there's a greater mystery in this galaxy, and you can just kind of pop to it as you explore the galaxy, or just kind of sit there and listen to it. So Yeah, I'd say that Mass Effect was a seminal game for me. I played it the first time when I was maybe 13 years old, and it was the game for me that made me realize, holy shit, there are more video games than Call of Duty and Halo, aren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone has that revelation every once in a while.
Yeah. So
The normies.
just it's special to me. Is basically what I'm saying. It's very calm, and it, compared to the rest of the soundtrack, which is more like action style, bombastic, like sci-fi
Mhm.
epic. This is a much calmer theme. I think there's one called Vigil's theme or Ilo's theme or something that kind of matches the same tone. Um, and yeah, I think I prefer this much more than that. Mainly because the other theme is way overused in like emotional moments. So
Right.
um,
Yeah, it
that's
sounds
what,
it sounds a lot like the intrigue of exploration in a way, I guess. Very fitting
Yeah.
for a map
Yeah.
theme. It's kind of just like giving you, I guess, like a little bit of a respite before knowing that you're going to go explore something that you've never seen
Yeah.
before.
And I mean, the first Mass Effect game was big on like exploration and that you could hop down the planets,
Mhm.
and the thing about that is that they were mostly dead silent. There was some ambient noise on those planets,
Mhm.
especially like the more like asteroid type or moon type planets. So like the transition from this into almost pure silence sometimes was it like it was an interesting feeling.
Like
Right.
jarring almost,
Yeah, it's jarring, but
not in like
In
a
a good
dramatic
way?
way. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
not in a dramatic way, in a very atmospheric way.
Mhm.
So that is what I would say for my choice as like a soundtrack that really just has a place in my heart.
Okay. So moving on to me, this is gonna be kind of a twofer, right? Um, I guess we'll start with the later game. So I think most people can agree that Assassin's Creed has kind of fallen off. um, I'm not saying that it's a bad game. There are some good, because every single time I say that, somebody's like, "Well, Black Flag was really good." I get it. All right. What I'm getting
Black
at
Flag
is
was
that
great.
like nothing, nothing in my opinion will compare to Assassin's Creed 2, right? And
I like Black Flag more than 2.
wrong. But anyway, Brotherhood, amazing game. Everyone saw the Plague Doctor, and everyone was like, "Yeah, no, this game's already 10 out of 10." The multiplayer was fucking revolutionary. But this is where I was introduced to one of probably my favorite composers, which is why I say it's gonna be a twofer. This song is apparently a decade old, so Jesus. Um, but it's called The Brotherhood Escapes, and I always play this whenever I play any sort of assassin or very fast moving unit. To put it in perspective, when I was playing a lot of League, I played this when I was playing Pike in particular. Especially if I was using like the sand dune skin, I forgot what it's called. But it played when you were basically running away from guards, right? And the cool part about this song is that it's your typical kind of like Assassin's Creed, battle music, but there's a break in the song where it goes into like a acoustic guitar. And this was so pivotal to me that I remember, Mike, years ago when I told you I wanted to learn how to play acoustic guitar, this song was the reason why, because it breaks into this flamenco style kind of rhythm. And I just thought it was like the coolest thing in the world. Not only the fact that the song was really cool, but it just like changes the pace and kind of throws you back in time, kind of like you are in Assassin's Creed, right? So I always thought the song was really cool, because it captures the chase, right, of you just being like shit and trying to get away from these guards because you saw like the mounted cavalry came in. Right, first you can take a couple of guards, do like chain executions, but then there's always the guys with the halberds that come in and you're just like, I gotta get out of here. And then you're like jumping through all the buildings and stuff, right? Trying to lose these guys. This song is like pumping you up. And again, it just breaks into this acoustic. And I'm just like, man, like this is fucking awesome. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Really hard to describe, but it was so hard. It was so pivotal to me that I still remember the name to this day. I played it on any single time I think of some kind of like oldie theme for either a character or a setting. And I remember the name of the artist, Jesper Kid, right? The reason that I'm honing in on the artist is because a lot of people who played the Tide games from Warhammer, he's the same composer, and he makes some of like the coolest
Oh.
songs in the Tide games. A lot of people usually say like, I love buying a game and getting an album for free, right? Or I love buying an album and getting a game on top of it, right? So
Yeah.
Vermintide soundtrack was fucking incredible. I can point at so many songs, but the Darktide soundtrack, he made a song in particular called Light of the Imperium, and that song is the most Warhammer song I have probably ever heard. So Jesper just has this like way of making a song that like really gets you into the action, and like I don't, especially in the Darktide games, when you're being swarmed, there's this song that's just like popping off, and you like go from being scared of being swarmed to just getting in that groove of hacking bodies up. You know what I mean? And when I saw that it was Jesper Kid, I was like, oh, this makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like he's just been one of my favorite composers for a very long time. And seeing that he was the Assassin's Creed guy that I remembered all these years ago to now becoming the guy that makes some of the favorite soundtracks and some of the most iconic soundtracks for the Warhammer setting, I was just like, dude, this is so awesome, right? Like linking those two back in a way. So to short answer, the Brotherhood Escapes from Assassin's Creed 2 and Light of the Imperium from Darktide, specifically. If you want other songs from Vermintide, Attack of the Beastmen is a really good one. Last Stand is an amazing fucking song. It's the song that plays when you're the last one standing. Pretty apt. And like I said earlier, a song that I remember by its actual title is one that I know that I genuinely like. And at least for like Light of the Imperium, I use that song when I work out. Like that's how pumped that song gets me. So it's one that I listen to at least like probably once a week. Brotherhood Escapes not so much, but it's that pivotal to me where I'm just kind of like, if I need to get hyped for something and I need to feel like really productive and in a sort of aggressive way, Light of the Imperium is one of my favorite songs. It's even one that I play when I play the tabletop game, just because it puts me in the setting a lot more. So Jesper Kid, amazing composer. I'm pretty sure he composed another game that's really, really good, and I just can't remember which one it is right now, but that's one of my picks. It's not like one of the super personal ones, but definitely one that I listen to at least on the weekly.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about composers here, because I have another one I want to talk about.
I like the Assassin's Creed one a lot.
That guitar when he starts
one
kicking
is cool.
in.
Yeah, but the Assassin's Creed one, I was like, damn, I feel that, like.
Yeah, like when,
cool.
dude, I'm telling you, if you play League, play Pike to that song and just like do like the little fucking running around shenanigans that Pike does, you will get fucking hooked. That song is perfect for him. Because he has that like little animation where he like tucks in and runs really quick, and like he just blends into with his W when he does the water dive. Like it's perfect for him.
Is that what you always in my games when you play Pike? Because
yes,
you're trying
I also
to,
play.
I
also play it with Talon. Yeah, yeah. No, I will. I'm just like, it's time to run, and then you know me. I'm always just like, there was that one quote that we had for a while that I just want to run.
Yeah.
Any movement based champion in League is like is the funnest shit in the world, and that song is usually the song I play in the background when I play those people, except for Udyr. That's another champion that we will get into, because I have a song from this other artist that I want to talk about. But on to you, Mike.
Yep. All right. So you talking about OSTs that you listen to on your own time. I tend to just listen to I guess I don't want to say I guess non-soundtrack like music when I listen to music. But there is two exceptions to that. This first one being the soundtrack to Jet Set Radio Future. And I know the artist by name, Hideki Naganuma. I follow him on Spotify. He's done some stuff for Bomb Rush 2. He's done some stuff for Lethal League. And in general has just released some, bangers of his own. And God, that soundtrack, I haven't played the original. I know a lot of people are fond of the original soundtrack for Jet Set Radio. But I am a big fan of Future, and he has this way of like mixing electronica / techno and house with like funk and like hip hop that for me it's like wholly unique and has always like stuck out to me and like fit the vibe of Jet Set so well, because you're playing these like street rats who like go around and like vandalize shit, and you just like graffiti everything, and you're doing these cool tricks. It's all about aura farming, right?
Yeah.
And there's something about the music that like when you're playing, it just like gets you pumped and you're just like bopping your head and you're just running around, pushing people out of the way as you're just like, you know, going Mach 10, running away from cops and shit. That just like it really hits really hard. And in different like, you know, different settings, different music play, and like a lot of there's like a good variety into that soundtrack too. But one of the ones that I've always like stuck out to me is the song Techno Pathetic, because of the kind of more faster paced nature of it. And I really like, you know, racing in that game, listening to that song, and then the vocals in that, like, you know, add like a really cool melody to it that I really like fuck with really hard.
Yeah.
That, and then there's this random like electronic like almost like breakdown in the middle that just gets like really serious out of nowhere, because the rest of the song is more like lighthearted and everything, and it just gets into this like really electronic part that just like really goes really fucking hard.
Yeah.
And you're just like racing and just like, what the fuck? And you're just like really feeling it and everything. It's just like so good. It fits the vibes and the atmosphere of that game like immaculately. I mean, I would say that the soundtrack like really shapes a lot of what how the game really feels to like the player and stuff.
Mhm.
So Hideki Naganuma, I cannot recommend him enough. I mean, my brothers and I, we always listen to this Jet Set Radio Future soundtrack. Another one that I mean a lot of people really like is Concept of Love.
Yeah, I
That,
think
you
I've
know,
heard that one.
that's the opener. Fly Like a Butterfly is another one that sticks out. Sneak Man is pretty cool. But I think the remix. I think it's the remix of Sneak Man that's in Jet Set Radio Future. But Funky Dealer is a really cool one I really like.
Mhm.
But yeah, that whole thing just really slaps. But that's one that really like stuck out to me, that, you know,
So
goes hard in that game in particular.
one of the things that I learned about Jet Set Radio, I think, when I was playing Sonic Riders, which also
Yeah.
has a goated soundtrack. But you mentioned the name Hideki Naganuma, right? Naganuma.
Yeah.
But listening to this song and all the Jet Set songs, I always thought it sounded like Sonic Rush. I just looked it up. He composed Sonic Rush. I was like, oh, look at
Well,
that.
there you go.
Yeah, because I was going to recommend you listen to the Sonic Rush soundtrack because it sounds a lot like him. And
Yeah.
it just is him. So
He's
that's
a
pretty
goat,
cool.
man.
Yeah,
He's a
he's a
goat.
very distinct style.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's
Where
good.
you just play his music and you're just like, oh, that's him.
Yeah.
You know? like I remember seeing when I was first like getting into Lethal League, and I think they had a trailer, or maybe I was watching some gameplay, and it was during some stage, and like a song played, and I'm like, did they get fucking Hideki to make this song or something? And I looked it up, and it was Hideki, and it was just crazy that off the bat I was able to just like, I was like, that's Hideki. You know, like, tell who it was and everything. He's just got such a cool, unique style of just blending, you know, like I said, jazz, funk, hip hop, and like, you know, house and techno, electronica, all that stuff, just like throwing it in to the blender and getting these really cool like samples, or I don't know, audio snippets to really like elevate the music too. That just
Yeah.
like gets stuck in my head and my brother's head and everything. And it's such a goated soundtrack. So
Sick. Alex?
Gentlemen, the Mortal Kombat theme.
let's go.
I don't
That's
think
a
there
base
is
pick.
a
Base pick.
song out there that hypes you up as much as that one. And the best part is, it doesn't even play in any of the games.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't it? It was from the movies, right?
It's for the movie.
Yeah, that's what I
They
thought.
played for. It was such like, apparently it's a whole legal dispute between Universal and the original maker of that song, because he really only sampled from one of the trailers for, I think, Mortal Kombat 2. So the guy yelling "Mortal Kombat" is just some dude yelling it in the street during that trailer.
Yeah, I already know exactly the one you're talking about.
And like, man, that is a song that pumps you the fuck up. It's on my like running mix, on my gym mix. And then anytime I'm playing a fighting game, anytime I'm playing a game that involves like martial arts, that game is playing, or that song is playing in the background at some point.
Mhm.
So one particular point of pride for me is I played Mortal Kombat 9 a fuckload, but after its heyday, I got it on sale for like $10 on Steam. And there's a challenge tower, and there's like 300 something challenges, and at the top of it, you have to beat Goro, Kintaro, Melina, and Shao Kahn on 1 health bar.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's fucking tough. But I mean, I was getting my ass beat, right? And as you do, it's a tough fucking challenge.
Yeah.
One of the proudest moments of my life was when I threw that song on and then tried the challenge again and beat it in like 2 goes. So I think it just locks you in. I don't think there's a song that does it more. And the fact that they don't use it in the games is really disappointing.
It's really funny. That's, I feel like, the song people associate with Mortal Kombat, you know?
Yeah. They tried to redo it for the more recent movie. It's just not as good. I think it's cool that you get the tones when like Scorpion finally shows up. But just underused by the Mortal Kombat franchise, and they need to be proud of that song, even if they're like composers didn't make it.
Yeah,
Come on,
it's
man.
like genre defining for Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, and again, it's not even in any of the games.
Oh, that's awesome.
Doesn't
yeah, that
make
song
sense
is
to
fucking
me.
awesome.
So yeah, technically not a game soundtrack. It should be, okay? That's what I'm saying.
Fair. I'll accept it.
I want to bring one up real quick before we jump off Mortal Kombat. I think Skrillex made Reptile's theme for MK9.
Yes, he did.
That one always, for me, goes hard.
Yeah.
Man,
because Reptile's one of my favorite characters in Mortal Kombat. And then, like, listening to that when that came out, and I was like, oh shit, this did not need to go this fucking hard. You know, so I was like, I really love that song.
I remember, like, when I was a kid, because I've been listening to electronic music basically since my inception. And I remember just hating Skrillex, like, just in general. And then he went through a point where he started making actually good music. Hot take. Because Scary Monsters and Ice Sprites sucked. I don't care what anyone says. But then when Summit came out, that was a great song. He started kind of going into like Reptile, and he made some other songs that escape me right now. One of his soundtrack, I think there's a song called Ratatat that's really good from one of his newer albums. And then I don't know, I like Skrillex's like more like non-on brand things, but I don't
like
want to get
his
into
EP,
that whole.
actually. Yeah, I like the EP that came out before. What is it? Oh my god, I think it's called Ghost or something.
Yeah.
So one with the girl, and she has like the ghost and the balloons and everything. That one's really good.
The only one I like from old Skrillex is Bangarang, but past that, it just, I don't know. I never really liked Skrillex, but I do like his other work and his more recent work. I think he just released a new album too. I have to check it out.
Okay.
But Reptile is a good song.
Yeah, Reptile's theme slaps. For me, a good second place to the Mortal Kombat theme for sure.
Yeah, I gotta add another Reptile song, the one from the same movie. When Liu Kang encounters Reptile in the Outworld, right? When he goes to the portal, that mix goes hard. I don't think it's actually like a licensed soundtrack. Kind of just have to look it up. And there's a clip of it on YouTube, and I have to rewatch the actual movie cut. But the announcer says Reptile right before the fight begins.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just so hype, because you gotta remember back then, Reptile was like a secret character. He wasn't a mainline cast member. So the fact that he got to show up in that movie as like a last, before the boss secret fight was just so cool.
Yeah, I'm listening to it right now. It's like some crazy Euro rave shit. Why does he get all these like electronic bangers, bro? Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool, man.
Yeah, it sounds really cool. Yeah, I fuck with that hard. That's cool. That makes me happy. He's one of my favorites, so.
Reptile's so cool. I'm so glad that Mortal Kombat 1 made him not a jobber.
Yeah, we'll talk about Mortal Kombat 1 another day, but I really like what they did with Reptile in the story.
All right. Since top 1 ninja is too hard, top 2 ninjas, go.
Top 2 ninjas?
Top 2 ninjas.
Fuck. In Mortal
I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm assuming I was gonna guess that you were just gonna mouth off Scorpion and Reptile, Mike.
Chameleon and Tremor.
Wait, Tremor is cool.
Tremor's cool as fuck.
Are we talking about people who we like the most, or maybe like play the most?
Like the most.
I like the most.
All right, so Reptile's definitely there. He's probably my number 1. Then it's either It's
No,
honestly a
2.
toss up. It's a toss up. It's a toss up because I feel like man, because like I guess when Mortal Kombat 1 came out, I was like instantly Reptile. Fuck, like whatever. My second character, I had to like think about. It depends on the game, really, honestly. But it's a toss up for me personally between Rain, Ermac, Smoke, and Scorpion.
Is Ermac a
That's
ninja?
like- that's
He
like all
kind
of
of does
them.
count, doesn't he? Fuck.
That's a
Ermac
solid
is a
half of
ninja.
the cast, yes. But I
Yeah.
fucking love them. Yeah, I basically only play the ninjas when I play Mortal Kombat. So.
I
number
forgot that
one
Ermac
is,
technically counts.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's a ninja. He's a ninja. Even though now they made him more of a sorcerer. You know?
Yeah.
So I really fuck with Rain, just his aesthetic.
Rain's
And I,
really
always,
cool.
I always love when he shows up. I thought he was super cool because he gets that. I think it's like a Kestis or something
Mhm.
in Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 1 made him a jobber, so
I like how he looks in terms of just pure aesthetic. I like how he looks in MK9 the most, personally.
I wasn't expecting to go this deep into it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
I
could
think it
have a
looks pretty
whole
good in
episode
9.
on Mortal Kombat.
I was just gonna.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say
Alex, your top
Sub-Zero.
two. Your top two. Your
Yeah,
top two.
yeah. Sorry, you
number
didn't finish.
2. Fuck. Smoke. I guess
It's
just
hard.
For,
It's
like,
hard.
It
Oh my
is
god,
hard.
I
It
forgot
really
Smoke
hard.
is also a ninja. Shit.
He is
He's
indeed
cool
a
as
ninja.
shit.
He
All
gets
right,
to be a ninja
Cyber
for one game
Ninja
and then a
Smoke
Cyborg.
or Human Smoke?
Regular ninja smoke.
Okay,
Cyber
okay.
ninjas are fucking
Okay,
lame,
with the
except-
long
I
flowy
fuck with
hair too.
Cyrax,
You
but-
like it with the like him with the long flowy hair?
What, the MK9 look? Hell
Yeah.
no. I think his MK1 look is much better. So
Okay.
yeah.
I was gonna say Sub-Zero and Rain, but now that you brought Ermac, I think it's Sub-Zero and Ermac. I fucking love Ermac. He's like my
Ermac's
favorite.
cool.
I love him, dude. We are many, you are but one. He's so sick. He was like the one I played the most. It was him and Kenshi was the ones I played in
Mm-hmm.
9, I think, the most when I was obsessed with Mortal Kombat.
It's hard. They're all really cool. So.
Hmm. Well, sticking with the fighting game genre, this is gonna be a ridiculously spicy take, but it's one that I've been fighting for years now, so I don't care. All right. Speaking of composers, right?
Mhm.
I did say that I don't want to mention soundtracks that are like not personal, and I'm not discrediting this soundtrack as being bad. Completely the opposite. But there is a composer that everyone knows. It's probably the only one that people know. His name is Mick Gordon. Everyone knows Mick Gordon, right?
Yep.
Because he made the Doom soundtrack. And the Doom soundtrack is really, really good. The man sampled a chainsaw in one of the songs. I don't think it's the work that I like Mick Gordon the best for, though. I think that Mick Gordon's best work is not the Doom soundtrack, but the Killer Instinct soundtrack. And it's really hard to pick a song, but one of my favorite songs is probably the TJ Combo song theme. But the reason I pick the game in general is because Mick Gordon had to make themes for every one of those characters, and every single genre for those characters is different, right? Like Cinder has Inferno, TJ Maxx's song is Back to Rise, whatchamacallit, Orchid's theme is Touch Me and I'll Break Your Face, Jago's theme is Tiger Warrior. Like, they are all different genres, and Mick Gordon did an amazing job at getting those genres down, right? So the reason that I think he's better here than in his Doom soundtrack is because I think as a composer, hitting all those right on the head is way more impressive than just making a soundtrack of just straight up rock. You know what I mean? And even that he nailed. But what I'm saying is like his creativity in making all these different genres for all these different characters that to me are iconic, I think is like the most telling thing to make Mick Gordon's primo work, the Killer Instinct soundtrack. And kind of talking about songs like that I listen to on the daily. Back a couple years ago, I was on a workout plan from a guy called Mountain Dog, John Meadows, rest in peace. He's gone now. But he was one of like Olympia's bodybuilders. And when I ran his program, I would listen to the Killer Instinct soundtrack because they were all such high pulse music. And they all had different genres, but achieved like the same kind of like high adrenaline fighting thing, right? I'm back from TJ Combo. The lyrics that the guy is rapping is all the story of TJ Combo, how he used to be on like drugs to enhance his fighting style in the old Killer Instinct, and now he's back and he doesn't have any of the augments and he's still kicking ass. Like it is a song that like whenever I listen to it and like the big like pulse thing comes in, I'm like bench pressing 2 plates on each side, trying to push for 3, and this song is just getting me there. You know what I mean? And if you played it, no, I don't think anybody would know that it's from a video game. Like, it is just, to me, it is so awesome for anything having to do like energy and motivating, right? Like, I remember like turning this song on when I was doing a lot of my PT tests for the military, just because like it would get me that extra inch, you know what I mean? Especially like hearing TJ just be like, I'm back, you know, and he's like talking about going to war and shit. And I'm just like, not literal war, but like war with himself. I don't know. I think it's one of the best soundtracks that you could ever listen to, and I hate the fact that people only know Mick Gordon for the Doom soundtrack. It's not to say that it isn't an amazing one, but Mick is able to do so much more, and most people don't know that. So I would recommend people go and listen to the Killer Instinct theme, especially because like as a music guy, it also incorporates it into the game. Like the more combos you do in Killer Instinct, the more the song pops off. And I really like dynamic music in games. The Safi Jiva theme, like I mentioned earlier, from Monster Hunter is the same way. The more you get closer to killing Safi Jiva, the more the song builds up, right? And Killer Instinct is the same way. The bigger the combos you get, the more your song pops off, the one for your character, which is really, really sick. So all of the songs.
Yeah, it's like a really
Orchid's,
cool like dynamic soundtrack he made and everything.
Yeah, Orchid's theme, Cinder's theme, Jago's theme. Aria's theme is like a weird dubstep drum and bass. Jago's theme is just cool as shit. When I was talking about playing Udyr, Jago's theme. I used to play Jago's theme when I was playing Spirit Guard Udyr because it was just fucking perfect. Because it's all these like kind of like Tibetan like flutes and shit playing with this like growling metal. Cinder's theme is just like your typical fucking like dun 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 type of rock. Back to Rise is like, you know, just like kind of New York, Brooklyn rap on top of with some little bit of electronic. Orchid's theme is just straight up electronic. Like all their themes are so fucking different, man. It's so incredible that one guy was able to kind of envision everything and bring it together. So kind of cheating, but the Killer Instinct themes from all the characters, the soundtrack is just fucking incredible.
No,
and
yeah,
even just like
great
the
choice.
we're
just talking about soundtracks in general, so I don't think it's
yeah. I would say, in my opinion, extremely hot take as well. The Killer Instinct theme for like Killer Instinct, I think 2016, to me is a better song than the Mortal Kombat theme. Not more iconic, but better, in my opinion. When I heard that guy go Killer Instinct and it breaks to that and I was just like, whoa, this is like, I knew I was in for a good time. And it's actually in my video game. It's not in my trailer. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So I've listened to the soundtrack a couple times of hanging out with you and your brother. And it's cool, but I
my brother
definitely do
is
think I personally prefer the Doom soundtrack. Like the
yeah, that's fair. I mean, especially knowing your
and everything.
Especially knowing like your
like metal
your taste in music. Yeah. I don't blame that.
That shit goes hard. I mean, we'll stick with the fighting game theme because there's one I want to bring up. I mean, honestly, every single installment in this franchise has bangers, heaters. But I guess I'm just gonna talk about Tekken in general. It's just known for its music, right? That's one of the things besides the gameplay and the characters. I would say it's probably number 3 in what makes Tekken so cool. Is the soundtrack, and I in particular want to highlight Lydia's theme in Tekken 8. I don't know. So I was a big fan of Lydia when Tekken, when she came out in Tekken 7. And then seeing how they brought her back in Tekken 8, and then just like the theme, like perfectly fitting like the stage she has. It's called Seaside Resort. So you're like on a beach next to like a resort and everything, and then just seeing my queen smash face in the trailer and everything is just fucking awesome. Yeah. But it was just like this really cool like kind of electronic / house type thing. That just like really like I like fucked with really hard ever since the trailer came out. And I remember like when that trailer dropped and before we got the song like on YouTube and everything, I would just like listen to the trailer and just try to ignore all the fighting that would happen in the background just to listen to that song.
Yeah.
But in particular, so that's the one that like, off rip I like to highlight. But I mean, I think if we're talking about which Tekken probably has the best music, it's probably 5 or 6.
5. It's 5. It's 5.
I would even put 4 in that mix personally too, because 4's music is really fucking good. For me, I think it either be between 4, 5, or 6. Yeah.
Oh wait, no, sorry, I meant Tekken 6, but yeah.
5 has a really good soundtrack too. I mean, they all have great soundtracks, honestly. But yeah, I think Tekken 6 is the one that had like the more like Fallen Colonies in there, right? Manji Valley is a personal favorite of mine.
Fucking Fallen Colony is so good.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking shit. Mystical Force is a good one I like.
There was I think it's called Scar of the Earth or Burn of the Anger of the Gods, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, something like that.
That one's really good. Tekken 6 is the best because it has Electric Fountain, like period dot, right? And not the tag team version of it, because I'm pretty sure that song is different in that game.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. Fuck that remix. Original Tekken 6 Electric Fountain is a song that I still listen to this day. Like, I do it specifically when I go on runs. But God, fucking legendary, dude. I did want to follow up though. Did you like the Tekken 7 soundtrack? Because I personally did.
I enjoyed it.
I thought that they went a little too heavy on like the dubstep and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that, but I still, I liked it. I wasn't like, it's not in my favorite Tekken soundtracks.
Yeah.
And I think they did that a little bit too much in Tekken 8 too, where it's a little too like just wow, 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 like that type of stuff, you know, like where it's just like, all right, we get it. You know, it's cool like for, you know, a song or 2 or 3, but like when it's like 70 to 80% of the soundtrack, it's, for me personally, not my jam, right? But I think there are standout tracks. Whatchamacallit, the one where they're going down the canal in Tekken 8 is a standout one in that game. I also really, really fuck with, oh my god, what is it called? I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
Fake
but
fan.
It's
in 7 I remember, like, is it Mashima Factory was pretty cool, but then like when you got to the last level I didn't like it because it was a bit much. Jungle Outpost I remember really liking though. That song was pretty sick. But yeah, no, Tekken 6. Tekken 7 had Infinite Azure though, didn't it? The one where it's like just one like flat plane with a bunch of water. Yeah, that song's pretty tight. But no,
it's
Tekken
Secluded Training Ground. It's Secluded Training Ground. Here you go. I'll link it so we can take a quick listen to that.
Yeah.
That shit slaps. I will say, okay, now like looking at all the songs and everything, Tekken 4 soundtrack I think is my personal favorite. There's just too many songs I like listen to.
Tekken 6, there's one High Rollers Club. I used to listen to that when playing TF. It's like the perfect song to play Twisted Fate to. It is so fucking good.
This one I practice and I just can't like not bop my head to it. You know, just like the little keyboard and everything. It's just like yeah, I fucking love it, man. It's so good.
Namco has some amazing fucking music in their games, man. Like they're just fucking solid as fuck.
Yeah, I mean I'm gonna call out Tekken in particular, you know, because Tekken I think just even though 7 and 8 in overall aren't my favorite ones out of the whole franchise, they're still good soundtracks personally. And I feel like I've never really been let down by their soundtracks. I was
kind of disappointed at 7. I'm not gonna lie. I remember playing 7 and being like, I don't have a favorite stage.
Okay,
but I get what you're saying. I'm not gonna ever say that Tekken has a bad soundtrack. It's just 7 kind of fell flat for me. But I mean,
compared to like maybe the heights that they've reached before with 3 through 6. Because I mean, we haven't talked about it, but a lot of people will say 3 is probably their favorite soundtrack. I mean, that's probably a lot of people's favorite Tekken game in general is 3.
Yeah. So. No, at that time when those games were a thing, I played a lot of Soul Calibur, so I never got to experience the earlier Tekkens. So. Sick.
Okay.
High Rollers Club and Electric Fountain.
Alex?
All right. Yeah, I guess I want to talk about, like, go a little more broad here than just one track. I want to talk about a whole franchise's worth of music.
Jesus.
It wouldn't be a Bonfire Nexus episode without talking about Castlevania, baby. No, I just really respect how over the course of the franchise's like 20 20-ish, 25-ish year history, they never really abandoned a lot of the songs and would just keep reiterating them. Like Bloody Tears, of course, is the most iconic soundtrack from Castlevania. But in the same way that every game kind of picks up with a new Belmont, you kind of get something new added to that legacy. So, for example, Richter's theme is like Divine Bloodlines, and Alucard is either Dracula's Castle or Tragic Prince. And as the games go on, even as just part of the soundtrack, even if you don't exactly hear them in play, they are going to be remade. So I mean, there is literally, I think, a compilation on YouTube of like every iteration of Bloody Tears, and it goes from like the bit tones that you got from Castlevania 2 all the way to like, I think the more recent or the last titles, which was, I want to say, Lord of Shadows that did it last. Maybe it was that one mobile game that no one played. But I respect the fuck out of that with Castlevania. How it also consistently delivers, I think, the tone of the game, which is like this adventure in this monster-ridden land where you are the hope for like victory, for like human victory. So you could call Castlevania horror because it has these classic like monsters and very much like horror themes, but you know, it's never anything where you feel an overwhelming sense of dread. It's supposed to be the opposite.
Yeah.
Where you feel like the hero going in, and I think every song pretty much carries that.
Yeah.
Even the foreboding in the boss battles is meant to just keep you on your feet and like keep you fighting. So I think it's really cool when franchises do that. I can't think of too many that keep that that have been able to keep that legacy of music.
Yeah, there's one. I know we talked about it in the past that my favorite Castlevania is Circle of the Moon, simply because it's the one I played the most as a kid. There's a song called Awake that really captures the adventuring through the castle and being like hopeful, but not like, you know, overly dreadful, is a really good song for that. Yeah.
And I just like how character theme, they're not even called like Alucard's theme or Simon. I mean, one of them is Simon's theme. I'll concede that one. But if you hear Divine Bloodlines, you know you're playing a Richter game. If you hear Ruined Castle Corridor from Aria of Sorrow, you are playing as Soma Cruz. Heart of Fire, which some of them have like 3 different names, but is Julius Belmont. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys know any franchises that might do something similar, where
Monster
as
Hunter.
it has aged, okay, well,
as it's aged, what?
Calls it, as it's aged, the music maintains the same composure, but it gets modernized. So they either add instruments or modify the instruments to make it reflect either the setting that's being portrayed in the game or just a more modern style of music making.
Yeah. I say Monster Hunter because in Rise, which was like the Japanese themed one, a lot of the songs got like a little bit of Japanese strings or like percussion added to it. And like in the latest example with Mizutsune, their song has always been Japanesey, but in Wild it's more modern orchestra. So but no, Castlevania is fucking based, man. Here's a funny story. When I was a kid, I was a little bitch, right? All right, end of the episode, guys. Wrap it up. When I had a 64, my brother would play Super Mario 64, and I remember I used to like hide in the behind the couch when he would go into the Bowser room in that one picture where Peach's face would change to Bowser, right? I don't know, I got scared and I had to hide behind the couch. And I say that because Castlevania was also that game. Castlevania 64, when my brother was fighting the werewolves, the concept of like going through that garden and seeing like blood everywhere, just like, I don't know, dude. It got something inside me that terrified the shit out of me. And now I look at it and I'm like, I was scared of a couple of skeleton bombers. Like, what the fuck?
That's so
but
funny.
Castlevania has that place where it's like, it made me like jump behind the couch and hide because I couldn't look at the screen. And then I played Circle of the Moon, and then I wasn't scared for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just one of those games
This
where it's
guy,
like so weirdly creepy to me.
This guy pissing his pants to Peach turning into Bowser, meanwhile me hiding behind the couch with Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Did you really?
Yeah,
No,
man, Courage the Cowardly
Dog
fucks you
scary.
up. Yes.
I was never scared of Courage the
Return
Cowardly
Slab
Dog.
guy scared the shit out of me as a kid. All right,
Courage
he was so
fucking
unsettling in his 3D animation.
I never got scared. But okay,
That's
but
crazy.
it's that fear. That fear is the fear I felt. So at least you can relate to
Yeah.
it. But courage never scared me. No, I always thought it was just silly.
That's crazy because a lot of people will probably point to Courage as
I know,
like,
I know. The Return the Slab guy is
show.
for real. I know.
Yeah, that shit fucked me up. And the dude with the blonde hair with the fucked up teeth also.
Oh my god,
really-
that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, that show in general is weird. I kind of want to watch it now as an adult, and
I
see how
remember
feel
the-
about it.
the
But
only
I
thing that
remember
kind
being
of-
as a kid, like being scared, but like still weirdly like super intrigued with it. It still was just
Yeah.
like so captivating, you know?
I remember one episode just kind of unsettled me because it just felt like a lot. It was when Courage is trying to protect was it Foxy or Kitty or whatever? That
Mhm.
one like a pink fox cat character, but then he just gets beat up the entire time and he like progresses through the episode with all these wounds, and I was like, "Oh my god." I was like, it's just like Courage is getting fucked up, man. And like they just drew him in such a abhorrent way, and I was like, is he gonna be okay? Like I thought he was gonna die, but it was very noble of him to try to save her from that abusive guy or whatever.
Yeah.
Sick.
Oh man. All right. Dan.
Oh
what
jeez.
you-
Okay.
What you're bringing up?
I think
Oh,
we're
I
still
guess
in the
quick aside with Castlevania. Sorry, I did want to say
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
To speak to how awesome Bloody Tears is, I did learn that on guitar when I first heard it because I was
Fuck
like
yeah.
that. I was like, I gotta learn how to play that opening. That then. I was like, oh, dude,
Yeah.
that sounds so sick.
I learned it
gotta
on
make
piano.
one confession. My first exposure to Castlevania was the show,
Whack.
and I watched that scene, and I had no idea that that was actually like a super important
Yeah.
song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone freaked out.
So-
Soy Boy, he's pointed at the screen.
When I watched
came-
it, that was like one of the only things I knew about Castlevania. So I did like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where I was pointing to the TV. I was like, oh, it's Bloody Tears.
There it is.
Yeah. That show's awesome though. I like
Oh,
it. So
I was
Alright.
playing Castlevania well before that, so
Yeah.
I was very
Dan,
aware.
Dan, what you got?
Are we still in the territory of normal songs? Are we still doing this? Because I still have a lot more.
Bro,
Normal
talk about whatever
songs?
you want.
Yeah. Okay. So, not too much of a connection here, but definitely songs that I still listen to. Everyone who's ever played Super Smash Bros. Melee will know what I'm talking about here. When you unlocked Roy and Marth, I don't remember how you did it. I'm pretty sure it was one of those where you like you left your GameCube on overnight, like to try to unlock Mewtwo and Master Hand. Except Mewtwo was actually real. When you unlocked Roy and Marth, there was a song that everyone would continuously leave the match and come back to. It was like the final destination song for Melee, in my opinion. And it was called I don't remember what it was called. Together We Ride. It was specifically Roy's theme. If you hear it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it had this like fanfare while you were fighting, and it was like the real like we're gonna scrap this one-on-one no items type of thing. And I am kind of drawing the line to Smash, but it's more of Fire Emblem as a whole. Together We Ride, and another song that came out recently in the Three Houses game called Fordland Winds. It has this like, it feels out of place when you hear the song because you're like fighting, but at the same time it is the most Fire Emblem song that I can think of is Fordland Winds. It has this like sense of like grand nobility to it and victory, which makes you want to push forward on these fights. And Fire Emblem is very much a game about picking your fights and making sure you don't lose your characters, especially if you play in like the hardcore version, like the old games, where when your guy died, he died forever for your entire save. But Fire Emblem has always kind of been a game of like trying to get that fat crit, or like, you know, pushing past a fight that you're just barely squeezing out of making it. And Fordland Winds is just perfect for that. Like, it is just like the coolest comeback song in a way, or like a song of hope and trying to like push through a very, I guess, imposing task. But it's also just good for like any generic like fantasy setting that has warriors trying to fight. You know what I mean? I've used it in like D&D-esque settings when I'm trying to build this kind of like, you know, breaking through type of thing. I guess it's less the song and more the idea of what Fire Emblem sells as
The feeling.
soundtracks. Yeah. The other song that I can like kind of tie it to, and I'm not going to mention it later, even though this is a song that I hold very, very, very dearly, is in the Shadow of the Colossus games. I think I've talked about it in the past. It's called The Opened Way. It's the song that plays when you finally found out how to climb on top of the Colossus. And it starts with this like really wide fanfare and then comes to these like swinging strings, which is so cool because like it feels like here's this monster that's in front of you that you have never been able to like you would never be able to take, but you finally found the open way, quote unquote, to be able to climb it and try to figure out where its weak spot is, right? But the monster's also like shaking you off and stuff, and like I think like the swingy violin and strings really like add to that. It just feels like you're like taking on an insurmountable task, and you're like, wait, I can actually do this, right? So the opened way, Shadow of the Colossus, I guess will be my first like. This is a song that I play whenever I need like that inspiration of like breakthrough, so to speak. And if you've never played Shadow of the Colossus, you're missing out. This song plays literally every single time you're climbing a Colossus, and when you hear it go off, you kind of know you're doing something right, which is like also something that's pretty cool in the game. You know you're making your way towards the right objective, because otherwise you'd just be stuck watching this Colossus try to beat the shit out of you. But it's that like slow climb of your character barely able to hold on, trying not to get knocked off, and this like song really just building you up, like go, 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 you can do this. You know what I mean? So I guess it's more of like the idea of the song that both Fire Emblem and Shadow of the Colossus bring through. Legendary tracks, in my opinion. That's it.
I haven't played Shadow of the Colossus, but I have heard the one you're talking about, and I mean it's cool as fuck. And yes, I do know the Fire Emblem theme from Melee.
Yeah, everyone knows it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's goated, bro.
That song is sick as shit. Like, you know, when you're playing that map, you're just like, oh, we're like in it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like Final Destination on Brawl, which is like one of the best songs ever. I think. You hear that and you know you mean business.
For sure.
Yeah, Fire Emblem's cool.
It is. Oh God, Awakening was so good.
I'm gonna save, I think, what my favorite one for last, but I will bring up Elden Ring, and that soundtrack. I like the Dark Souls soundtrack. Sekiro and Bloodborne have really good soundtracks.
Oh, Sekiro soundtrack is so good.
Yeah, it's very good. But I guess one of the reasons why Elden Ring kind of just like shot up into one of my favorite games of all time and one of my favorite From Software games is the music. The Dark Souls, or I guess the From Software, like I guess the Soulsborne, I guess franchise, if you want to call it a franchise, or I don't know, group of games. They have really good music, a lot of iconic soundtracks and everything. But I don't know what it was about Elden Ring. I think it was more like the open world ambiance and just the general shift in style of music that really resonated with me. So like the original Dark Souls ones are just more of your classic gothic, you know, orchestras, like orchestral epic, you know, music, where Elden Ring kind of took like a more Northern European feel
Celtic,
to it. Yeah. And normally I'm like, I don't want to say I don't like that type of setting, but it's not like my favorite setting. But
yeah.
A, I think they nailed it in my opinion. And then B, I think the music adds a lot to that. And I found myself personally recognizing and listening to and enjoying, you know, songs off of Elden Ring more than the other FromSoft games. One that I really like, A, because the boss fight is insanely sick, but B, because the soundtrack I think really elevates the boss fight is Mesmer's fight theme, or I guess Mesmer's theme in general in Elden Ring. So just to give background, I guess, on the fight and everything, because for me, the music makes you really like feel it. He's kind of like he has like this undying love for his mother, but his mom kind of like treated him like shit, and he's just like stuck in this like kind of hellhole. Like he conquered this whole land for his mom and everything, but he just kind of wants to go back to where he's like from and everything, but his mom's kind of quote unquote stationed him there. So he's kind of just stuck there, and he's not gonna, disobey orders and stuff. And you walk in, and he immediately recognizes who you are, what you want to do, and everything. And you just feel, I don't know, he just has this like imposing aura to him that you walk in, he starts talking. He talks a lot more than like most bosses in the From Software games do. And it just like kind of adds a lot to the gravitas of the situation and everything. And then that music starts kicking in. He immediately right off the bat just comes with this giant fireball that he just like starts charging up in the air and just like slams down towards you and everything. And it's just like that with the music, like, interlaced, just like I remember getting goosebumps, like, doing that fight. And I was just like, holy shit, man, this is insane. At that time, it was a pretty hard fight. I mean, it's still a pretty hard fight, but not as hard as like, when I first did it and everything. But he has this like second phase where he like takes off one of his eyeballs, and then he uses like because one of his main themes, I guess, with the characters, like he has this like snake with him, and he just like fully, I guess the eye was some type of some item or something that kind of held back some sort of curse he had within him or something. And it had to do with that snake, and the snake all of a sudden gets like decomposed and giant, and he starts, using the snake, like fully like just leaning into that side of him, that you did not see with the first phase. And like the shift, in the music, like really like kind of adds to like almost like the horror of it and everything. You see this guy just, like he's like, well, I did everything for you, Mom, but I gotta kill this son of a bitch. So, and he just like rips his eye off and like crushes it, and just like kind of goes full demon mode. And it's just a moment that just really stuck out to me. And it's the DLC, but it really stuck out to me. That and the final fight too. In the first, in the base game, they just play the main theme when you fight the first phase of the boss fight, the final game, or the final boss of the base game.
Yeah,
and that's another one where I just got like crazy goosebumps, where you just hear the the Elden Ring theme, and you're just like, man, just like the sheer epicness of the situation where you're fighting a like fallen god. This is like literally to determine the whole fate of this whole world and everything. And that soundtrack like kind of epitomizes what you've been through, like what you've come, what you've gone through to like get to this point to fight this like this dude, and it just really elevated those moments for me. Like I said, overall quick, the soundtrack's great, but yeah, go ahead.
I want to ask both of you, I guess. I haven't played a FromSoft game, so no Dark Souls, no Elden Ring. Where the fuck do you get the lore in these games? Seriously.
Items.
For this, right? And it's just you going from one boss to the next, getting your ass beat, and then learn how to beat ass. Like...
Items and body video.
He's just falling. Wait, is there a cutscene? So, did he give you a monologue? Hold on.
So I would say in Dark Souls, it's a lot harder to get lore compared to Elden Ring, because in Elden Ring, there's I feel like a lot more dialogue and stuff. But in Dark Souls and stuff, it's mostly just like kind of environmental storytelling. So they give you like the basic gist of the world, right, of what's happening, and then you talk to some characters that give you some really cryptic like fucking dialogue where you're just like, what the fuck are you saying, dog? Like, get the fuck out of my face, right? So you're just like, yeah, I'll buy these souls, or like this fucking weapon off if you were these spells or some shit. And then later, like, it's basically through items, like Dan said. You like read these items and you start like slowly putting the pieces together, and then you're just like, oh, like, it kind of adds up over time. I feel like the common man, like Dan and I, don't really get it in one go. We maybe get inklings. That is what our lore master VaatiVidya's for. You watch his videos and you're like, oh, this all makes sense. And he kind of like puts all your like stray thoughts that you had reading all these items and everything into something that makes sense, and you're like, this does make sense, and it's like canon. So
yeah, I still
like you
don't
said,
know who
items in
Ocelot
Vaativedia.
He screamed
But I
about
will
it quite
say-
a bit.
Yeah. I would say Elden Ring's a lot more generous in terms of like
Mhm.
giving you all these like all this lore stuff.
I would hope so.
People
George R.
kind of
Martin wrote for
meme
it,
the
so.
George R. R. Martin thing. Yeah, he didn't do any of the main story. He did the world building. So there's like this very connected like family and events that happened before your character, gets there and stuff. And we're talking about like the last like I think it's like 1,000 years or so that he basically wrote the events, and not obviously like super detailed and everything where it's like every fucking year or so, but like the major things that happened that are relevant. And he kind of just gave that to them, and then they built Elden Ring off of that for the world and everything.
That makes sense. That
and-
George didn't actually finish the work he started.
Exactly. But I think the work that he did do really shines in Elden Ring because there is a really cool, like, there's a lot of really cool lore to it. And even me, before watching any Vaativedia, I guess videos, I was able to, understand who Mesmer is, and why he's such a tragic character, and understand the gravitas of the situation that you're, when you go to fight him, especially with what he says and everything. Which is more to say than past From Software games. So that I guess that's another reason why a lot of people really connected with Elden Ring that didn't connect with past From Software games. There's just something that Elden Ring did about with accessibility, and gameplay, but also like story and stuff that you're able to piece all this stuff together, and you're just like, so.
Yeah, not to shit on your parade, but I still think Dark Souls 1 is better.
Yeah, I mean, perfectly fine.
Pling Pling Plong
I
is
just think
iconic.
what, like the soundtrack?
No, the meme, Pling Pling Plong. You don't know that meme?
Yeah. But you're talking about Dark Souls 1 soundtrack better than Elden Ring.
Yeah, I mean, like Firelink
Yeah.
Shrine
I
is
mean, I'm
extremely
perfectly
iconic.
fine. That's not shitting on my parade. If somebody told me that, I'm like, that's a completely valid.
I
Honestly,
remember-
any of the soundtracks. If somebody's like, yeah, this is my favorite FromSoft soundtrack, I'll be like, that completely makes sense. It's
Yeah.
like that. And spoiler alert, Final Fantasy is going to be talked about at some point in this episode. But that's another one where it's just like, if somebody tells me, yeah, like Final Fantasy 3 is or 4 is my favorite soundtrack, I'll be like, that is a completely valid, like,
Yeah.
answer,
I remember
so.
the moment that I realized how iconic the theme was, because I always liked Firelink Shrine and like Gwyn's theme, but it was when I think I was streaming it to you, maybe. I think somebody was watching, but I remember
Mhm.
I have never extended my jaw and soy jacked so fucking hard at my screen until I heard the final part of Lord of Cinder's
Souls 3?
fight in Dark Souls 3. Yeah.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
that
I
shit
know,
came
I know.
on, I was like, there's no
Dude.
I'm pretty sure I died because
Yeah.
I was so thrown off and I stopped swinging. Like I was just
Dude,
like, no
I-
fucking
yeah.
way.
I started tearing up a little bit when I was
Yeah,
playing by
I got choked
myself.
up,
When
yeah.
I first hear it, I was just like, bro.
It's like it all comes back to this.
Yeah, it's just like, fuck.
Oh, it was so good, man. Yeah.
So good. Alex, what you got for us next?
Yeah. I'm gonna take it something that's. We're gonna go back to Assassin's Creed,
Yeah, okay.
and Mike, you're gonna appreciate this because I'm gonna talk about Black
Okay.
Flag.
Oh my lord.
yeah, let's go.
I'm not talking about like the basic soundtrack. I do think the pirate
sea
like
shanties?
battle, the fucking sea shanties, man.
Dude,
Oh my
okay,
God,
okay,
they're
all right.
so
Before
good.
you get into
And-
your whole thing, I will say, I am not a fan of pirates, right? In
Yeah,
general,
whack.
I don't really like enjoy pirates. They're not like, my type of thing. I also, in particular, don't really like sea shanties or chants like that.
Mhm.
But I was singing along in fucking Black Flag. I
Fuck
was like,
yeah,
yo,
'cause
this
they're
shit
so
is so
good.
good. And like I said, that whole game is just peak. And I was like, I was like, okay, maybe I do like pirates in some aspects, depending on how they're done, right? So, but go ahead. Sorry. I just wanted to get that out there.
I want to say that the sea shanties. One, because I Contraire, love sea shanties. I love the history behind them. I think
Mhm.
they're like a really nice, like unifying culture around the sea and sailor life and all that. It's great, and I think they're just fun songs, especially if you can get a group to do them. Um, I appreciate the folk culture behind it, the history. And when I went to a concert to see the Longest Johns, who is a band that kind of got famous off of sea shanties and modernizing them a little bit, um, the opening act walks on stage and it's like, "Hi, I'm the guy who did the sea shanties for Assassin's Creed Black Flag." So that was pretty great to see him in live, and he did a few songs from the game, and I think even beyond that. But I think they're just really fun, and it's really cool, and it immerses you. It does something really cool in that it actually immerses you into the setting because your crew is singing as you're sailing. So I found myself kind of doing a Spotify playlist thing where I tell them to stop and start again until I found the song I liked.
Yeah.
And the fact that you collect more as you play more is really cool. I really like Over the Hills and Far Away, Lowlands Away. I think the Leave Her, Johnny Leave Her, and fuck. Oh my god. Why am I blanking so hard? Shit. There's a lot of good ones. I'll say that. Yeah, I think that is a game that uses its setting, even if Assassin's Creed isn't like the best at doing that, like its historical setting, and has fun with it. And that's what I like about that music is you can sing along as you're playing because those are sing along songs. So that just goes to my point. Assassin's Creed is peak when it's musical theater.
Based.
Yeah, I'm like listening through some of it. Leave Her, Johnny Leave Her, I think is one of the ones I really like. Like I said, that game really made me not want to fast travel with how cool the like driving the ships were. Like it just felt awesome, and then also the sea shanties. And just being immersed in that, like you said, it just adds so much to the immersion where you're just like, no, I will go across the map to just listen to this and be with my crew and, fucking sail my ship in the high seas, Like, and like I said, that's normally not my jam, but man, that game really like knocks it out of the park. And that's why, as much as I love Assassin's Creed 2, and it was the first one Assassin's Creed 1 is the first one I played. But as much as I love Assassin's Creed 2 and how amazing that game is, Black Flag, I feel just personally, I connected to it more. Probably because of the shock of like, I like pirates now, like maybe.
So real quick, I want to say it was Sean Dagger I saw in concert.
Okay.
He's the one who did the majority of the vocals for Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Okay, I gotta be honest. I don't find Assassin's Creed fun gameplay-wise. I think the sea shanties were the best part of that game. So I think that's why I want to talk about them. I thought the gameplay of Assassin's Creed 4 was really boring. Even the naval combat got super samey at some point. But I remember the sea shanties, so it just goes to show what good music will do for you.
Yeah.
So, for me, this is kind of starting to get into personal territory, but it's really just because Mike mentioned Final Fantasy, and now I want to beat him to the punch.
This guy.
So, I think I mentioned that why I never got into Final Fantasy as a kid, but I've always wanted to play Final Fantasy, mainly because I saw Black Mages, and I was like, they look adorable, and that's usually enough. But I wasn't able to because I was in like a... Okay. I was in a
You will want to kill yourself with one of the stories of the Black Mages in that game.
What, Vivi, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard of his story. I don't know like the resolution or anything, but I've heard of Vivi.
It's fucked.
So I've always wanted to play Final Fantasy because, it looks cool and charming, but my parents were really religious and they were under the impression that all magic was bad, and therefore Final Fantasy I couldn't play. So it's kind of the same happened with Pokemon because they thought it was pocket monsters or pocket demons, not monsters. This is all true. They ripped my Exodia deck from Yu-Gi-Oh because they were convinced that it was black magic, which to be fair it kind of was, but overblown. Yeah, I collected all 5 pieces of Exodia as a 6-year-old and I saw my deck get ripped in front of my face, so not great.
Tragic.
But I unfortunately got into Final Fantasy kind of late. The first game I got was Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. And much like Castlevania, I borrowed it from a friend and had to hide it from my parents because I couldn't let them see it. So if that's what it took to get into the franchise, great. But my first proper title was 14. And I think that 14 soundtrack is one of the best soundtracks in gaming, period. Dot, right? Like,
It's goated.
it
It is
it
certainly
is
goated.
yeah, it is. So I've shared a lot of tracks with you, Mike. Tranquility being one that I shared. It's just really just good. Like, it's just really good. But I think the one that really holds a place in my heart, well, two to be fair, well, three to be fair, between like Revenge Twofold and Heaven's Word, and Dragon Song. Dragon Song is a really fucking good track. Um, the Shadowbringers theme, the one that came out, that song is fucking incredible. And maybe it's because it was my first like real expansion I joined in Stormblood, but that one was like a big one for me since it was like the one for the expansion that I was first getting into. But overarching and representative, I think, of Final Fantasy as a whole, 14, sorry, Final Fantasy 14 as a whole. If you tell somebody about the song Answers, it is the best song I have ever fucking heard. I will say it was an acquired taste. But Answers is so cool because it has so much history behind it for Final Fantasy 14. And it's because, for those of you who are uninitiated, Final Fantasy 14 came out in a terrible state, right? And the game was basically shit, and then they gave it over to Yoshi P and they were like, yo, fix this shit, right? So instead of just fixing it, they made it part of the story that Bahamut was trapped in a moon called Dalamud, and that moon was being broken by the what is the name of these fucking guys? It's not the Garlean. The guys the fucking Xenos is in charge of. I think it is the Garlean Empire. I thought they had a name, but yeah, I think it's just the Garlean Empire. Point being, this song plays when Bahamut gets released and destroys the world, basically, which then leads to the fact that you get transported by Louis, however you say his name, Louis So, to the 14th Astral Age, I believe, and then that's where Final Fantasy 14, A Realm Reborn starts. But 14 is cool because Answers is cool because if I remember correctly, the person singing the song is either one praying to Hydaelyn or two is Hydaelyn, which is like their god basically. But when you first enter Final Fantasy, you go through a cutscene when you create your character that says like hear, think, and feel, right? And it's basically just telling you like follow the path, so to speak. But Answers ties it in with this like very dramatic orchestra piece, and it sounds like cries for help and hopelessness, but also like the fact that there is something after all this takes place and like humanity keeps living, or like the world keeps living rather. Answers starts off with a really somber tone and then just fucking explodes into like grand orchestra, and like the chick that's singing is just fucking like, or sorry, the choir is like pleading sort of in a way, but she's just saying the quotes from the game. And I just think it perfectly encapsulates like the somber feeling moments before destruction. And if you watch the trailer that led to Final Fantasy Reborn, it is this song playing, and it shows Bahamut destroying the land, and even like the Garleans are just fucking running for their lives because they know everything is fucked. But yeah, it's this huge crash that just like is so indicative of the world ending because like Bahamut got released. Like this is like massive oh fuck moment. And in the trailer, you can even see like the characters that we're fighting, like the ones that are the stand-ins for you. They're just kind of there looking hopelessly, like they can't do anything. So it really is just like the world is like we lost, right? It's over. They did what they wanted to, and even they're fucking terrified. It's just so indicative of everything. And I remember like I think it's the Unending Coils of Bahamut, the first ultimate raid, when he turns into Golden Bahamut, this song starts playing because that's like the last stage of the ultimate raid, which is the hardest raids in the game. And I just remember watching these guys who were trying to clear it, and Bahamut is just one tapping them, and he's like, you see like the healer falls, the tank falls, the DPS falls, and like Answers is just playing, and you're just like feeling the overwhelming wrath of Bahamut, and like your teammates just are dying one by one by one. It is like the coolest piece when it comes to trying to encapsulate what those moments felt like, seeing the world basically blow up. Because it just sounds like Please. It's so cool, man. I can't really capture just how special that song is unless you like sit down and listen to it. Any Final Fantasy 14 fan knows about it. So go give it a listen. It is so fucking good.
Yeah. That was a great talk and everything, but what about Pastoral Pleasures?
I fucking hate you. That song is so cancer. I hate this fucking song. I hate when I step into my FC house and I hear this goddamn song playing. It's so troll. It's so dinky, dude. I hate it. Stupid fucking alpacas.
Yeah,
man.
No, Answers is cool. I like
Answers
that song.
Is incredible, dude. I listen to it when I play Leona.
That you showed me that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
So that one I actually Final Fantasy music in general really like started like inspired me like a couple months ago to actually like sit down and start practicing piano.
Yeah, I mean like the Answers, when I hear it I get choked up. It's like I just man, I wasn't even there for A Realm Reborn, and even like I can understand the severity of that song.
You just get the
when
feeling.
you hear it, when you hear it, you know shit's going down.
Yeah, but when you hear this, you feel
dinky. I hate this
pure pleasure. That's why it's called Pastoral Pleasures.
Dawntrail had some
Final Fantasy song I really know is the fucking victory theme or the level up stream theme.
Yeah, there's so many good songs, man. I mean, especially in 14 because they just keep adding songs. Like Shadowbringers brought the Eden raids, which in my opinion are some of the best songs ever. So the Titan theme goes hard as fuck. Everyone knows that when he gets in his little ATV and he just kills half the party.
So I'm gonna let you finish. But Final Fantasy X's got the best soundtrack out of Final Fantasy.
No, that's just objectively
and the song that makes me tear up every single time. And I'm thinking I would love to have this either when I'm dead at my, at my funeral, or during my wedding or something. Fucking To Xanarkand, bro. That song, like just hearing it right now and everything.
Oh, I know this song. Yeah.
Oh, I know this one.
That song, there's just something about the piano and just like having played through the game and like knowing what happens. Oh God,
I didn't know
it's
it was
just so
from
much
10.
emotions. Yeah. I mean, in general, even if you don't play the game, like you just feel the emotion that fucking Nobuo Uematsu, like that he does in his music. And he in general, I mean, man, in general, Final Fantasy is like so highly lauded for its music, mostly because of that man. And I think video game music gets respect for what it is, because he was one of the first pioneers that people listen to this and there's like, wait, this is just great composition in general, not just for video game music. This is just great music. And I feel like he just really elevated the whole industry as a whole with the first couple Final Fantasies. And the crazy part is the GOAT got better as time went on. Like this is the fucking 10th game, right? And it's just like, for me, my favorite soundtrack. And like I said, this is a franchise where, you tell me Final Fantasy 11, 12, even 16's got great music too.
Yeah.
Like any of the soundtracks, they're all just good to fantastic. There are no bad soundtracks in this franchise,
That's fair. Yeah.
So 10 is the one that resonated with me the most, probably because it was my first Final Fantasy, and it was the one I played the most and everything. But like every time I hear this piano, like, so I have like this playlist I listen to sometimes at work with a bunch of video game music. And whenever this just pops on, it's also my piano playlist too. It just pops on. I gotta pause for a moment so I don't like start crying while I'm working and stuff, you know. So it just, I don't know what it is. I think it's just, you know, the way it's played. I think is that like what adds so much levity to it, that just really affects me a lot, and affects a lot of people, because I know this is very highly upon a lot of people's, you know, I guess quote unquote list of Final Fantasy songs and everything. So, but yeah, great. I really like the prelude too that they do for all the games. It's a really fun one. Final Fantasy VII's got amazing music. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure if we played any of the battle music from Final Fantasy VII, people would be able to, you know, recognize that.
Right.
Along with, like, you know, the victory fanfare that everybody knows. So I'll link the Final Fantasy VII one here, but yeah. And Seven's one that, like, even before I played the game, like, I felt like I knew the whole soundtrack. Like, I was just like, damn, this is from 7? Damn, this is from 7? Like, you know, like... but so good. Yeah, Final Fantasy in general is just... I mean, we've talked about it a lot. And it's, I feel like, a good pillar of this podcast in general. And Dan and I's gaming tastes and stuff. But Final Fantasy in general just knocks it out of the park. And I remember, even though you haven't played through 16, right, Dan?
No, just because it's a PS5 exclusive. I'm waiting for it to come to PC.
But I remember us watching some gameplay, or like
the Ifrit
watching like
versus
the
Garuda
demo,
fight.
yeah, stuff like that, and like the trailer, and my jaw just dropping with how fucking awesome the music was.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that mostly wasn't Nobuo too. I'm pretty sure that was mostly Yoshi P, wasn't it?
Yoshi P did direct that game, yeah. That's why
yeah.
Whatchamacallit, and Walker was, I think, not directed by him, if I remember correctly. It was either that or Dawn Trail. One of the two wasn't. And people are like, oh, Yoshi P wasn't working on it, that's why. But Creative Unit, is it Creative Unit 13 or 3, I think is what they're called?
Sorry, not Yoshi P. Yoshi P's like the game director, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure his name's Soken. I forgot his first name. But yeah, he worked on he was the main lead composer for 14. And they pulled him for 16. Which makes a lot of sense on why 16's music is so fucking good. Yeah. So
damn, Dragon Song is such a good song though.
Yeah, I think he's a good successor to Nobuo. I mean, he's been, I mean, like you said, 14 means a lot to you, and even though we haven't played 16, just listening to some of that soundtrack and like trailer, you know, being like holy shit, this is exactly. Kind of shows enough. So I think it's the series is in good hands if he's like, you know, the face
the
of
spiritual
Final
successor.
Fantasy music.
Yeah.
Yep. So
dope. I think I'm gonna reel us to I mean, I wanna at least talk about this a little bit of, I think, licensed music that works. Maybe not in the sense of just like putting a song that's licensed in at like a key moment. Like I think at Saints Row 2 or 3 at the end, Bonnie Tyler's I Need a Hero plays, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like a soundtrack made of licensed music that builds the atmosphere for a game entirely. And I'm going to talk about the Fallout games, specifically the Bethesda era games, 3, 4, and New Vegas, and I think 76, but I haven't played that one. So those are, I mean, if you haven't played them, you get a radio on your like Pip-Boy, which is like of course the item tool pretty much, and it has a selection of tracks all from like the 50s or 60s, and that gave, I think, the game's identity in terms of atmosphere, right? it obviously the songs come from a time where like the Red Scare and the atomic scare was very real.
Right.
So it's very appropriate for the setting because you're in a nuclear wasteland. At the same time, it is a stark contrast when you have a jaunty dance tune playing and you're in literal hell, like human created hell. Moreover, set like hundreds of years after these songs were made, right? So basically, when Fallout 1 and 2 came out, they weren't really meant to be like super like retro American. I think at most they were retro futuristic. Even then, they had modern guns as the weapons. Whereas when Bethesda took over, they specifically wanted to do that retro futurism with heavy tones coming from the like 1950s Americana kind of look. So they used the music to highlight that, right? So you have classics from the Ink Spots, oh God, what's his name? He was one of the Rat Pack. God damn it, why am I forgetting? Still, and when you get out in the wasteland the first time, right after getting out of the vault or crawling out of Doc Mitchell's house, and you turn on your radio, and you just get this, it's like a bleak nostalgic feeling that I think ties Fallout perfectly, where again it is a desolate wasteland and everything in the past has been eradicated. It is like what you are crawling amongst is the relic of a dead culture, of a dead nation, and the music is kind of like a ghost of that in a sense. So it builds on the atmosphere, because we, being in like the 21st century, like modern times, recognize those as songs from a bygone era, right? So that, I think it's just a genius way to use older music, like Everything Goes and Butcher Pete, and then like New Vegas had the more jaunty Western style, like Spurs That Jingle Jangle Jingle, Heartache by the Number, right? And these have become classics. I think meme culture has kind of adopted them, especially around the Fallout franchise, as being staples of the series. Even if you don't necessarily like the Bethesda era of Fallout, I don't think you can deny that them using retro classics in place of a soundtrack, because there really isn't a soundtrack for Fallout. That nothing of note. It's mostly ambient, sort of background tones. So using that to fill the empty space kind of adds to it. It turns it from like this bleak struggle for survival into a more upbeat, adventurous, ironically adventurous tone, because of just what kind of world you're living in. Everything's destroyed, but you're blasting merry tunes while you're fighting your way, trying to survive. So I think just want to really highlight how like awesome that was, experiencing that for the first time in every game, being able to throw on the radio and hear new songs. And I think 3 and 4 borrow from each other a little too much, but going from 3 to New Vegas, and like 3 being these classic, much more like what we would call pop today, to New Vegas is again the country tones, the Western style music that reflects the area you're in. I think it's just good. It's good game design. It's good sequel making. Creates familiarity, but also like a distinct setting placement. So yeah, I think Fallout is a game I'd go to if you want to look at like something that's done licensed music. I think that's a perfect example of something that works.
Yeah, I really like how they do that.
Yeah, and it's not just like kind of contemporary music too. Like you said, it's like, the old school style music that they add in there. That's like licensed music and actual music, but it feels almost like original, because it fits the world so much.
Yeah.
And obviously they crafted that world in that era, that setting, but that's why it works so well, and adds a lot to it. Like you said, popping on that radio and just walking the wastelands, that playing New Vegas, and you got a little pep to your step, a little jingle, as
you
you're
got
going and stuff.
yeah, Spurs got jingle jangle jingle, brah.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's just to say, I think that is probably the biggest thing Bethesda did in claiming Fallout as their own, is adding those retro style musics to the in-game radio that helped immerse you into the retro Americana style that the art style that the game adopted when it went 3D.
Okay.
I also think that they can use a lot of, I guess, I don't know how you would say it, but the idea that a lot of these songs are so old that we wouldn't even recognize them as licensed. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because it's just like, you wouldn't know. You weren't, I mean, most of us weren't alive at the time. So it's a pretty good illusion to be like, it's so fitting and you wouldn't even know that this was actually real. And it's kind of cool that it calls back to that era, considering that, like, if you're role playing like an RPG, then it would be something that if you were in the Fallout setting that would exist, so to speak, if this was like an alternate of America. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
So it's even like antiquated as far as Fallout goes. The bombs don't drop in Fallout until the year 2077. So that music is long gone.
Yeah.
Right? Even by those standards, it's just old records that people found and really enjoyed. So we don't know what American music would have sounded like to Americans who lived when the bombs dropped in that universe. I don't think we like actually get an example of that. The one final like story I want to share about the development is that for New Vegas, there is a faction called the Kings, and they are attempting to, without realizing that it's Elvis, impersonate Elvis's like look and lifestyle, right? And for that, the devs of New Vegas really wanted an Elvis song in the soundtrack, and even one was like $1 billion to license. It was ridiculously expensive. So I guess Elvis is my. I imagine that's the thing with the estate, where it's saying they don't want Elvis to be they want to make their money off of him, right? Even long after he's gone. But I still think it's really silly that you have people from like the Rat Pack, like Dean Martin, who gets songs in New Vegas, right? But you can't, can't get Elvis, the most iconic singer of that era. So,
question. The Kings is where you whatchamacallit, you eventually get Rex, right?
Yeah, you get Rex from the King.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. He's cool.
Sick.
All right, Dan, you wanna lead us?
Yeah, so this is like personal territory proper. I don't know. It seems to have to be a less of a hot take the more I've grown up. But maybe it's just because when I was younger, these games were more in people's hearts. But The Legend of Zelda has pretty iconic tracks. But I remember growing up that most of the people would always talk about Ocarina of Time. And I like Ocarina, but it's definitely not my favorite. And I think at the time, Twilight Princess was kind of seen as the black sheep. At least the way that I understood it. But now whenever I talk to somebody and I'm like, what's your favorite Zelda? They almost always say Twilight Princess. So, dub, right? Because that's my favorite. Probably second to Majora's Mask and Wind Waker. But I guess that's kind of gone now because everyone likes Breath of the Wild. I liked Breath of the Wild, but it's not the normal Zelda formula that I fell in love with. I still think Twilight Princess is the best Legend of Zelda. Bar all of the Wolf Link stuff, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I guess it added to the world, sort of, because of like the story as to why he can turn into a wolf. But it just seemed a little cheesy. People were obsessed with wolves at that era, I feel, because then you got like Sonic Unleashed, and that game is so good, man. But the parts with Were Sonic are so bad. I think
the only thing I know is that like the last level of that game is incredible.
Every daytime Sonic level in that game is fucking peak, in my opinion. Estonia, I don't remember the name of the Greece place. I think it's Bengal or something like that. No, Estonia is, I don't remember. The Greece place and the place that stands in for Rome. Those levels, the Arctic level, the jungle level, it is, I think, the epitome of like Sonic games. It is like, that is the fastest you will ever see Sonic run in a game, because I don't know why, but now they have this whole thing where they just don't like Sonic to go fast. I don't know. Sonic Unleashed, to all my motion blur haters, which seems to be fucking everyone, I seem to be the only person in the world that enjoys motion blur. That game was like motion blur TM. You just got so much of it. All of which to say, Sonic went really fast. Great. Wolf Link. Anyway, Twilight Princess was an amazing game because the setting was really dark, I think, and very in your face about it. There's been a lot of other Zelda games that are dark. Ocarina's pretty dark on its own. Majora's Mask is fucking oozing with it, but you wouldn't really know it unless you were like playing the game and you understood what was going on, which most people were kids at the time. But Twilight Princess kind of was like Majora's Mask in the sense of like impending doom. There wasn't a moon falling, but there was all of Hyrule Castle was like covered with the force field from Zant and the Twilight, which is like another dimension where these Twilight people exist or whatever. So if you don't know, you're followed by a companion called Midna. She's like the stand-in for the fairy, except she's not fucking annoying. Midna's actually really cool. And she's like one person from the Twilight that don't want Zant to do what he's doing. There comes a point, I hate the fact that I can't fucking remember how, but there comes a point where Midna loses all her energy and she's basically dying. And you have to take her to Castletown to try to get help, but you're stuck as like Wolf Link. And the cool thing about Wolf Link is that you can talk to animals and you kind of have all these little animals pointing you to where to go. But the first portion is you just running through Hyrule Field. And you're listening to a song called Midna's Lament. Now, it's prevalent throughout the entire game, but I think it really shined in this instance in particular because you're stuck as Wolf Link, sprinting as fast as you can over to Twilight Town, or sorry, to Castletown, because Midna's on your back dying. Like her color's like all faded, and as you're running through, it's just a bunch of like rain. It's like heavy downpour. It's dark as shit, and you're just like trying to get to Castletown and try to save Midna. And this like very somber piano music is playing, and while you're going there, I'm pretty sure you start getting attacked by like some Twilight monsters. And I just remember the entire time just thinking to myself, like, this song is really heavy. Midna's probably gonna die. I don't know if she is or not, and I gotta go help her. And these fucking Twilight monsters are falling off of the sky and trying to stop me from healing Midna. And I'm like, I remember like getting aggravated because I was just like, these guys have to fuck off. I'm trying to save Midna, you know what I mean? And I at that moment I just realized like the song was really getting to me in the sense of like, I didn't know if Midna was actually going to make it, and I know that the last thing that I had to do was just get her to fucking town. It kind of reminded me of that one part in The Last of Us when Joel falls on the spike of rebar, and you're just trying to get him to safety. And you're just like, Joel, please get over this, like, you know, obstacle in the way. But it was way more somber with Midna because like the entire time you just hear like Link, like Wolf Link kind of just like doing his little pants. He has a little like piece of chain on his right paw, and you just kind of hear this like little slapping of metal the entire way with this heavy downpour. It's just such a somber feeling, man. And whenever I listen to Midna's Lament, I just go back to that moment where I was like anxious and kind of terrified and kind of sad that it's like this character that you kind of haven't really grown much of a fondness to is now on your back just basically about to die, and you really didn't know how to heal her because she comes from another dimension that you don't really know about, so you didn't really know if taking her to Castletown was really going to even do anything. So yeah, it was like that moment I think where you just like started to give a shit about that character on your back and not get annoyed like the elf from, you know, they're the fairy from all the other games and stuff. Like that was the first companion I think that through all her aggravations and stuff, you could really get a feel for like, this is an important character and now she's dying and now I have to help her. And now there's this sad little piano roll that's really repetitive, that's like plucking at your heartstrings, and it's trying to tell you like, it's almost insinuating the fact that she's not going to live. You know what I mean? So yeah, very, very, very personal piece. It's one of those that like, if I'm feeling somber or down, I definitely just throw this loop on and it just wallow in my feelings, which probably isn't a good thing, but it goes to show that it really highlights like the epitome of what I think is a tone that drags you down and like really levels with you, I guess. Whenever I hear it, it is just like the perfect epitome of like, this is why Twilight Princess is so special to me, because it's not just another Zelda game where, you know, you're the hero going through the lands to defeat Ganon. It's like it felt like there was a lot of stakes in Twilight Princess personally. Even though you can argue that like Breath of the Wild, the world already got destroyed, and Majora's Mask literally has the moon trying to come down and crash on the world. I don't know. I think that like Twilight Princess just felt very grounded and gritty, and that was very apparent by everything that was going around in the world. You could definitely feel like a sense of dread all the time. So, yeah, Midna's Lament. There's a 1-hour version on it on YouTube. That's how you know it's good. So, that's my pick.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds great. I really like the piano.
It's kind of like Tranquility
like
without
said,
the strings.
Yeah, it has like a very somber feel to it, like you said. And like, you know, you're describing the plight of Midna and stuff. It like really, yeah, gives you that feeling. It kind of gives me a little bit with the little plinks at the end there, the high end keys.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of gives me a little bit of like a Made in Abyss vibe to it, with just how it kind of gives a sense of like almost like unknown or like mysticism to it.
Mm-hmm.
That like, you know, it makes the world feel more than what it seems like, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also like the thing about this song in particular, and I think it's the only time in the game where Hyrule Field has an absolute downpour coming down. I could be wrong, but I don't remember ever seeing Hyrule Field have that much like rain coming down on it. And it is a remix of the Hyrule theme, which I think is the best Hyrule theme in any Legend of Zelda game. But Hyrule theme, like the Hyrule Field theme, is a very kind of like adventurous one. If it's like it starts off with fanfares and stuff. So knowing that you're back in Hyrule Field, but it's not playing the, you know, you're a adventure in this great land and you're gonna go out and like, you know, fight Ganon in this triumphant fucking thing. No, it's like, here's that song that you kind of grew to love while adventuring and riding around Epona, but we're gonna drag it down and we're gonna make the setting all bleak and we're gonna make it rain, and it just, I don't know, man, it was perfect. It was just so peak when I played that part of the game, both as a kid, and I played it when I was deployed in Africa, and even then I was just kind of like, fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, awesome song.
Hell yeah. All right, Mike, you have one more you want to tell us about?
Yep. And I think this is a great one. I definitely want to end my picks on. I mean, Kingdom Hearts, chat. It's it's another one along the lines of
beloved.
Final Fantasy. Where you go to the title screen.
It's Dearly Beloved.
Pop that in there.
Yeah.
You look at the art, the fantastic art, and you're just like, wow. I remember first playing that and like just popping in there and just sitting in the menu screen for a while, just enjoying, you know, the music and just being like, this is going to be a fucking game. And guess what? It was. It was a fantastic game. And the music really adds to that a lot. I mean, we're talking about, I guess, licensed music. I don't know if it was made for that game. But fucking simple and clean, and also Sanctuary.
Simple and clean.
God, so good. And even the remix of Simple and Clean is really good too.
Yeah.
But the fighting music, I think it's called man, what is it called? It's the Heartless theme. I think it's like Night of Fate. Yeah, Night of Fate. That one. Like, I remember that just being a bopper. That one really good. Just, you know, made you feel the intensity when you're fighting the Heartless and stuff. I mean, Traverse Town.
I was about to mention, like, one of my favorite songs from Kingdom Hearts is fucking Traverse Town. That little wah, 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 wah. Dude, yep. It sends me back, man.
Yeah. and this is all just the Square Enix stuff, right? Because what makes not Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts so special is that it's a mix of Final Fantasy and Disney. And somehow, the composer for Kingdom Hearts, gonna look up their name, somehow
Yoko
captured,
Shinomura.
yeah, right there, captured like the essence and aura of those, like, I guess, Disney worlds,
Yeah.
Amazingly.
I remember liking the Hercules theme a lot.
The Hercules theme was cool. The one that really stuck out with me was was Halloween Town.
Oh yeah.
Like that one, so good, so good. The fight music in that is awesome too. Everything just fit very well.
Yeah.
The gummy theme I enjoyed, and stuff. So it was a perfect mix of like what Square Enix is with like Final Fantasy, with like Disney, and I mean, to this day, people, I mean, I feel like the music alongside like the characters are kind of what makes Kingdom Hearts. And that's why it's such a beloved and, like, you know, highly regarded franchise with a lot of people. People rave about this franchise. And I feel like the music's a really big part of that.
I
'Cause
think
the gameplay's fun. I like
Yeah.
it. The story's way too convoluted, but the characters are cool and the music slaps, you know? So yeah.
one thing that about Kingdom Hearts, well, two things. One is that I never actually played a mainline story Kingdom Hearts. I've only ever played a spin-off, which was
Mhm.
Chain of Memories, and I like that one a lot. Somebody told me that they made like one of the games, like the mainline games, but with the Chain of Memory combat system. I don't remember which one it was. It was like Dream Drop Distance was a spin-off. Anyway, all of which to say, I haven't played like Kingdom Hearts proper, and even I know a lot of the songs. Like
Yeah.
they are very iconic. And Chain of Memories, in my opinion, I like the whole like deck building and the way that the cards kind of worked with each
Mhm.
other, but they like slid it into a dynamic combat system. I thought it was really really fucking cool. But Kingdom Hearts unfortunately kind of has that problem that I had with Vermintide. I didn't have it with Kingdom Hearts, but I know people do, where they see Disney characters and are kind of like, "What?" You know what I mean? Because it's kind of hard to tell somebody that Kingdom Hearts is like a really good game and it's not definitely not Disney related, and then you see Mickey in a fucking hood. You know what I mean? For me, that kind of reminds me like with Vermintide when I didn't know anything about Warhammer and I was like, wait, so this is Left 4 Dead, but you kill giant rats? That sounds stupid as shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I learned, and now I think it's cool as shit. Kingdom Hearts, I've heard a lot of people are kind of put off by the fact that like Donald and Goofy are your fucking characters, but they are arguably like some of the best side. Well, Donald's kind of useless. Goofy's fucking awesome.
I guess if you didn't grow up with the games,
It's really
and
hard to
didn't
get
play
into.
them,
Yeah,
I guess nowadays you just like kind of look at it and you're like, huh?
yeah. I've heard a lot
but-
of people say that.
Yeah. And I think there is something to say with like the way the franchise has been going, where it feels like they've eliminated the Final Fantasy aspect of it.
Mhm.
Like in the first game, Cloud straight up pops up as like a fight that you can fight in the
Yeah.
Coliseum, in Hercules Coliseum.
I fought him before.
Squall is one of the first characters you meet in Traverse Town, right?
Mhm.
Same thing with Sid. Like there's mainline Final Fantasy characters in there. And I pretty sure I haven't played through 3, but I've read and watched some gameplay. I'm pretty sure almost all of them are gone. There's no Final Fantasy in there. It's all Disney. To the point where like even like I think a major thing of Kingdom Hearts 3 is that you have like these sections, or I guess like some of the spells you use are rides from like the parks,
Mhm.
and it's just like screams like
Sorry.
yeah, I'm
That's
not even
crazy.
joking. It's just like what the fuck, right?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy because in the original Kingdom Hearts, I think 1 is the best one, but I do like 2. It's like the way they like kind of do a mixture of Final Fantasy with Disney feels like pretty organic.
Yeah,
in a
no, it
weird way,
definitely
'cause
does.
Like you said, like when somebody who hasn't grown up and played with them, and that you tell them, you kind of almost pitch that, like, what if we mix Final Fantasy with Disney? It's just like, what the fuck, right? But it works somehow, right? And even though I wasn't like a huge like Mickey Mouse, or Donald Goofy fan, they made those characters cool for me.
Yeah, I
Because they're
thought
cool in
Goofy was
Kingdom
cool as
Hearts.
fuck.
Yeah, exactly. They're just
Yeah.
cool. And I was just like, wow. They somehow managed to capture the essence of these characters, put them in this world, and not make them like just weird to be there. It just
Yeah.
feels like that's the world, And it's
Yeah,
just like
even the summons were
it's-
good. I remember just like when I got, I think it was Simba, like where he does the
Yeah.
roar and stuns everything. I'm just like, oh, thank God, Simba. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I never
going
thought
through
like,
the
what
worlds,
is
too,
Simba
felt
doing
great.
there? Yeah.
yeah.
I never had to worry about like, oh, and even the boss battles, man. I remember fighting Hades, and I was like, this is
Mhm.
cool as shit. Same with Ursula. I was like,
Yep.
these feel like just boss battles. I'm not thinking about, well, Hades didn't die this way in the movie or anything like that. I was just like, this feels so organic, man. It is
probably because it was
amazing how they did it.
authentic at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would have been around what 2004 or 5 or so.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 1 came out, so I mean that was the Disney Renaissance, right?
Yeah.
Those last few years of it, where they had really cool concepts like Journey to Atlantis and Treasure Planet, which are
Mhm.
kind of underrated these days.
Oh, man.
Versus now, which is like, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
yeah, that's fair.
You look
Yeah.
at Disney, and it's easy for people to point out that they've kind of lost that magic.
And
you
just
have
their
people
creative control
suspecting-
too.
Yeah, they have people suspecting that they're using AI to write movie scripts, and that a lot of them are starting to feel cut and paste, especially with how standard Disney animation has switched from like 2D
Bro,
hand drawn style to
I-
like just the Pixar style now.
that shit is so tragic in my opinion. I get that 2D is so hard, but like after seeing The Princess and the Frog when that came out, bro, that movie was so fucking good.
Yeah.
It was so charming, dude. And I remember looking at that movie and being like, this looks kind of dumb, Louisiana kind of style. And then I was like, this shit's baller. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I can't believe that
So-
people thought that Frozen was like a revolution. I'm like, have you watched Princess and the Frog? Like,
No, it wasn't. I think if you want a good example of like 3D anime that's good, I think Tangled feels a lot more.
Tangled
close
is
to me than
really good.
Frozen.
Yeah, Tangled is
Yeah.
good.
I think it didn't do as well as Frozen though. I don't know why Frozen is so.
I
like,
don't either. I still don't
gassed
get
up.
it.
It felt hella
song.
short to
It's a
me.
song.
The music's good. I guess you can say that. Yeah. But,
Eh.
it's weird. So I mean, okay, you gotta explain the spells or rides to me. Is it like
Yeah, I cast
Oh,
Space
oh,
I
Mountain.
cast Millennium
I'll find-
Falcon,
I'll-
Smuggler's Run.
I'm not even joking. Here you go. There's summons in the game. Pop this in here. I'll cut this out while we watch this. And
I
then
cast
we'll
the
just get
Orb
your-
Lady from Haunted Mansion.
All attraction
Yeah, damn.
summons. What the fuck?
What the
Yeah.
fu-
Like I said, I'll cut all this out and then just have the reaction.
Oh,
Are
like
you
the
fucking
spinning
serious?
teacups. Yeah.
Okay, well, what the fuck? Oh my god, the Buzz Lightyear.
Magic
It
carrot.
just
I feel bad for you.
feels-
I feel like this would be cool if it was its own game.
Dude, for me, it just feels so tonally off, and for me, it just screams
Yeah.
advertisement for the park. Advertisement for the park. Like they're like, yeah, we'll let you use the Disney property again, but you gotta have the rides in there. Like, it just doesn't. I don't think it fits the themes. I guess thematically of what Kingdom Hearts is supposed to be. And I
Yeah.
feel like Kingdom Hearts 3 was a major departure of what Kingdom Hearts is supposed to be. Pretty divisive game. And I know a lot of
I think that's
people,
pretty cool how you're fighting one of the Titans from Hercules on a Disney ride. I mean, like, it's cheesy, sure, but like at least there it's being implemented rather than just a summon. You know what I mean?
I think it's fine in like certain like set pieces like that.
Yeah, yeah.
No, Mike,
I think
I'm
as,
gonna
like,
be
a
honest. I kind of fuck with this. Like I'm not even a Disney adult saying that.
I fucking
look,
hate
and,
it. I'm gonna be
and
honest.
I
I hate
respect
it.
that I haven't played Kingdom Hearts and I don't have that like emotional attachment to it.
I don't like
Yeah.
I don't like the summons and like just a normal fight, but if it's like for a like a one gimmicky boss fight, it's kind of fine. I think
Like
the,
I said,
the,
yeah, like the Hercules thing right
Yeah, the-
there. I think that was fine.
the
Like,
coaster
that
one
was-
kind of reminds me of one of the, like the boss fights that I thought was really cool in Super Mario Sunshine, where you're on a roller coaster while fighting a giant robot Bowser that Bowser Jr. is controlling, and so
Mhm.
you're like in this little ride just shooting rockets at it.
Mhm.
It kind of reminds me of that, but No, that is pretty weird. I'm not gonna lie. It does kind of scream advertising.
Yeah, like I said, it just feels like they took out a lot of like what made Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is the mixture of Final Fantasy and Disney.
Yeah.
And
why aren't you summoning
all
Bahamut
Disney now? And like that is like kind of epitomizes that, you know?
Yeah.
For me,
Okay, I gotta ask.
personally.
To use these summons, do you have to wait 40 minutes to 2 hours?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's the
Unless
truth.
you have Fast Pass, it's an in-game.
Yeah,
like,
It's authentic. It's true to the parks.
Yeah.
They're really selling you the whole package here. Huh?
Exactly.
It's not called Fast Pass anymore. They're gonna change the name again in 2 weeks, so don't worry if you don't get it right this time.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Alex, you got anything, or are we wrapping up here?
I think we can wrap up here.
Whoa, I still got more to
we're
talk about. I actually
Alright.
do.
All right,
Dude,
Dan, you
shotgun
can-
fire them out.
I'm
Yeah,
yeah,
you can
I'm gonna
honorary
blaze
mention
We're
through.
right
already at
now,
like
make it quick.
2:45.
I'm gonna
yeah.
blaze
Yeah.
through these, but these are my more important ones. Okay. Where do I want to start? Okay, we'll just do two. Actually, we'll do two and then a quick wrap up. But one, Michael, you already know. Chat, you already know. Or audience. Mega Man Battle Network is like one of my favorite games of all time, and there is a song that you will find out because, shocker, Mike has finally started fucking playing Battle Network.
Yeah.
But it's the boss fight theme, not like the final boss fight theme, which on its own deserves a spot, but it's just like the boss fight theme, because I'm assuming this is kind of like your Rayquaza one, but every single time you fight a boss, you hear this theme right here, and it's very like, I don't know, it's very tense, but it breaks into the theme of the game, like the main theme of the game, and then that kind of like is a cool little callback, but it also, the main theme of the game is very like heroic sounding, so it kind of has this like very dangerous, like, oh, you're in trouble type of thing, and then it breaks into this like beautiful fucking harmonic of like, you're gonna rise above. I mean, the name of the song is literally called Surge of Power. Like, you feel like you're just trying to like I don't know, like overwhelm your opponent sort of, and then it dips back down into like that kind of danger theme, and then it'll repeat again and then break up into the hope kind of Surge of Power part, and then break back down. But the cooler part that I remember is just in Mega Man, kind of like Pokemon, you walk around and then eventually a Pokemon comes out as a random encounter. But in the overworld of Mega Man, for every boss that you already fought, there's a chance that they pop up in certain maps, and just like out of nowhere. So you'll be like at, I don't know, 80 HP, not worried about anything, and then all of a sudden fucking Proto Man comes out of nowhere, and it's harder than the version that you fight in the story. So there's like Proto Man EX, and Proto Man SP. And if you're just walking around and Proto Man SP pops up, like, you're fucked. Like, you're beyond fucked. And most of the time you can't run away. But this song just starts playing, and you already know, like, oh shit, like I ran into a boss and it caught me off guard. But half of me wants to just keep playing, because it's like, even if you weren't prepared, just listening to the song is, I don't know, man. It's so iconic. You know what I mean? Especially because like Mega Man 6 for the Game Boy was the last Battle Network proper. And this song, like the evolution of boss fight songs, I think this is like the best one. It is just, whenever I hear it, I get nostalgic as shit. Like, you heard me, Mike, when you booted up the game, I was like, oh my god, like hearing that song again is just so fucking cool. Because it has a special place in my heart. All right, second one. Chat, I have an AdMech channel for Warhammer. Of course, I'm gonna mention the AdMech soundtrack game. So this song is called, okay, so the Mechanicus soundtrack, period dot. I know I said this for Darktide earlier, but I think this trumps Darktide. The Warhammer soundtrack of the Mechanicus game is easily one of the best interpretations of Warhammer, because the Mechanicus, if you don't know anything about Warhammer, is very much like, I think, the thing that represents the setting the best in terms of like crazy shit, you know what I mean? Because it's very easy to like see a Space Marine and be like, wow, they're like super genetic and they're all fucked up because they like dug into them and they're all spliced and shit, and their training is really crazy. But then you just see a Space Marine and you're just kind of like, oh, it just looks like a guy in big armor. The Mechanicus face value look fucked up. Like, they have like wires sticking out of them. They like don't have normal legs. They have like spider legs on some of them. Some of them do have normal legs but have 8 arms or something. It is the most like body horror-esque, I don't know, that Warhammer can give you. Like when you think about, when the people tell you like, oh, the humans are really bad and they don't respect human rights, the Mechanicus are that, right? They don't give a they have like servitized, lobotomized dudes that do all their tasks and shit. But all of which to say that the Mechanicus soundtrack has this unique feel of like gothic organs mixed with like techno like machine sounds that you can't really say is like electronic music. It's just like whirring machinery mixed with gothic organ music mixed with like hymns of, I don't know, it feels so grand is the best way that I can put it, like an organ. I mean, the organs have that thing of like very wide breath, you know what I mean? um and the Mechanicus soundtrack in particular really captures the Mechanicus and Warhammer as a whole. So if anything at all, if you don't like the or if you don't know whether you want to play Mechanicus or not because you don't like the XCOM kind of gameplay, just play it for the soundtrack, man, because it is beautiful. Like I listened to this song when I worked out. Like I listen to it at least like twice a week. And like the entire soundtrack, and I have it on vinyl on one of my walls. I don't know. You hear it and it just sounds like a song that has like a purpose grander than oneself, I guess, to sound dramatic.
Yeah.
It just sounds amazing. Somebody put it in a video. First of all, if you go on YouTube and just look up Mechanicus review, I promise you every single person that reviews the game is going to have a section dedicated to the music of this game. Like there is no way that you can mention the Mechanicus game without mentioning the soundtrack. It is that fucking good. And secondly, somebody I think put it pretty well. They said most electronic music has a bass drop, Mechanicus has a pipe organ. Like that is I think the best way to describe this game. Just how they tie those two styles of Gothica and mechanical together in such a seamless way. That guy, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah,
Hats
I
off
think
to
it's
him.
perfect that you have a pipe organ for a game that's about a bunch of dudes who replace their organs with pipes.
I know when
So-
when the second game got announced, people were saying like, "Oh, great! A new album is releasing." They don't even give a fuck about the game. The game is good. I really like the game, but all of it's to say that it is the soundtrack, and then you get a game on top of it. And then this is kind of going along the same line of the last thing I'll talk about. The soundtrack again for Forever Winter. I brought this thing up before. I did look into it a little bit more, and I did talk to this about with Mike. The guy who makes the soundtrack is actually an ex-Riot employee, and he was the co-founder of whatchamacallit, the creation of Pentakill, which is already huge. Pentakill was fucking incredible. He was responsible for Tom Kench's theme, which makes a lot of sense when you hear the Forever Winter soundtrack. And he also made Eclipse Leona's theme, which is my favorite skin and one of my favorite tracks. So makes sense why I like him so much. All the soundtrack is good. In particular, my favorite track is Cyanide Sunrise and Black Echo. I think Black Echo captures it the best though, because much like the Mechanicus soundtrack is this kind of like industrial gritty electronic mixed with like somber guitar. But what I think is really cool about Black Echo is that when the song first builds up, the kick drum is supplemented by the footsteps of soldiers marching, which, if you know anything about the game, it's two factions that have been in an eternal war with each other.
Yep.
So implementing and sampling footsteps to be kind of like the build up to the song is so cool. And then it breaks into like these kind of like screeching electronic sounds, since the war is kind of like cybernetic in a sense. But the coolest part of the song is probably like, I want to say halfway through, but it has these like screeching synths, right, that are so wide with reverb. And if you look at the world of Forever Winter, like the gameplay, it is like, again, what like I mentioned before with the open world thing, this like endless expanse of war and scrap metal and like bodies, right? And hearing these like screeches that are very wide with these like footstep kick drums that are kicking in. It builds this like sense of like hopelessness and dread in a very kind of like grand way, right? Because when I heard this part with the screeching synths and these like rising swelling synths, I always thought about like looking at Elephant Mausoleum from that hill and hearing that song rip up the I guess the airwaves. Looking at it just felt so dystopian and so hopeless. Like you were just like, this world is fucked, and this song is describing it by just swelling these screeches, and then it just breaks back down to this like somber little guitar plucking, and it's just kind of saying like, here's this grand event that's happening, and you are nothing more than just these little plucks of somber hope that you can try to like scavenge your way through, because this is your life now. You know, this is the world you live in. The song is just incredible, dude. Like I always listen to it on repeat. And sometimes it'll just pop in my head while I'm just doing random tasks. It is so definitive of the world of Forever Winter. And the coolest part is that it usually plays once you got out of combat, right? So like if you're just walking around and hearing the ambience and something starts shooting at you and you get in a really close call. I remember when I first played the game and I didn't know how to play it too well, that I got in a firefight and I got like really badly hurt after like having 6 dudes come at me after just trying to shoot one. And I was scavenging their bodies for fucking liquor, because liquor heals you just a very little bit. And I remember just like scavenging and being like, dude, I need something to heal. I don't have any healing, right? And hearing that like sound, like again, like I say, screeching synths like ripping through, it made me like feel so desperate. And that song just like overwhelming the sound of the game, while I'm just like trying to hold on for dear life to try to make it to that extraction point. Dude, it was so fucking iconic. It was one of those moments in gaming that like, you know, people usually have in like their childhoods that they'd never forget about, but like now, like in my mid-20s. So I didn't think that could happen again, because you know, normally we reflect on those moments back on like games that we grew up with, but at that moment, just hearing that song, seeing everything, and like feeling the desperation I had to try to like find a way to get through this mission and live, while watching these bombers dropping off bodies of cyborgs, and like seeing that tank that has the barrel twisted up with like bodies hanging off of it. Dude, it's just fucking peak, man. Like absolute cinema, in my opinion. And it's so crazy to see, like, from an employee who's made songs that I liked before, but from such a small company too, because you know, this game is still in pre-alpha. It's a new company. It's the first game. It's so cool to see a high-profile kind of guy. Well, I don't know, a high profile. Nobody really knows his name. I now know Jason Wiley. I'm following your work. To bring something so amazing forth, and it's like a game that nobody really knows about yet. You know, it hasn't like broken into the mainstream quite in a way that other games have. You know what I mean? So yeah, Black Echo. Cyanide Sunrise is also that kind of song where like it's just a bunch of claps and like simple but rough synths that are kind of making you tense about the situation that you're in. Yeah, I can speak about that game for fucking forever. I'm so hoping that it becomes
sounds like it, but I am going to cut you off here,
yeah.
Because we are hitting 3 hours.
Yeah,
so
I'll drop it there.
Thank you everyone for listening. Michael, where are we at?
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, pretty much any social media with the handle at the Bonfire Nexus. You can also find us on YouTube with the handle at the Bonfire Nexus, and you can email us at thebonfirenexus@gmail.com with any questions, topics you like covered, or you know, anything there. So and those were our favorite soundtracks, and I guess songs in particular, why we liked them and all that. I
have so much more. So much more.
Yeah, I have.
Maybe we do a part 2 at some point.
Paper Mario
Yep.
soundtrack is goated too, just so you know.
Anyways,
a little more and I'm less tired, but yeah.
have a great night, everybody.
Good night.
Ciao, bye.